Good morning. It is very dark still here in South Africa. It is very overcast. We have had lots and lots of rain as I go through some serious erosion on the road. I can't actually believe how much rain we've actually had last night. We must have had at least 10 mils, maybe on somewhere along those lines. But if you just started watching, welcome to the Safari Live pre-drive with Craig and myself. And my name is Taylor, and you will be bumbling around looking for creatures for the next 5 minutes with us before we start the show. So now you see, now you get to see the joys and wonders of the creeping cable that goes from my hat into a mic pack, which is lovely. It just moves around ever so slightly underneath my ponytail. You may be able to see, there it is. Look, it's hidden. How well hidden is that? I think that's amazing. But yes, we're driving around, it's dark, and we're looking for lions. Craig? Are you there? For now, okay, now I'm just checking. So, are you excited to maybe potentially see some lions today? I didn't hear. So excited. Craig is bouncing off of the back of his seat. He is so thrilled to see lions this morning. And that's what we're going to go and do. As we know, Brent is now feeding his peanut gallery comment on, he's in the tent, Brent is in the tent, so he's watching us. Yeah, so we're driving around, we're heading straight down towards Triple M to go and see if perhaps the Nkuhumas have crossed. I'm not sure if they have. Like I said, it did rain quite a bit in the early hours of this morning, so whether they have crossed, that'll be one thing, but to try and pick up on their tracks would be a completely new thing. Goodness, Craig, hold on as we go through these puddles. They're quite deep. Right, let's go looking. Jamie's also out. Jamie's driving. She is going to check Sydney's dam because there were reports of the wild dogs hanging around. Sorry, Louise, what did you say? Ah, there was a time notification. I missed that. I thought Louise had told me something else, but she didn't. She was just letting me know that I've only got 2 minutes of the pre-drive left with you. Sure, it always flies, this pre-drive. I can't believe how quickly it goes some days. It's quite phenomenal. Now, I'm glad there's no lightning this morning, because we pretty much had the same sort of incident as we supposed we had yesterday, where the clouds came over before drive ended, and then what's that? Some vegetation on the road. Hang on, I've got distracted now. I'll get back to that. Just who's been walking here? Impala. Right, we don't need to worry about those tracks because we see the Impala everywhere. So yes, so it poured with rain at about 2:30, 3 o'clock maybe, somewhere around there. And then it bucketed down, not for very long, not as long as last night. I'm glad we didn't have another 50 mils because I suspect we may have found ourselves in a wee bit of trouble. With the ground being now completely saturated, is definitely not too much room in the soil, so holding water. We probably just would have had a little bit of flooding, which would mean a couple more days off of the roads. So I'm glad that that didn't happen. We've got to watch out for the snails as well today, so we keep making sure that you check the roads so you don't squash any little critters that may be crossing. I don't even know why I have my spotlight out at the moment, because for tracks it's impossible. This entire road is wet. Okay, I'm going to say goodbye.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
The night was dark and full of terrors. Not really, there was a bit of a storm. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
You are live, you are live.
to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Jamie, and this morning I have Brian on camera, and of course Brian accompanied by the thumb as always, because they are essentially inseparable, we hope. Brian, the thumb doesn't get up and walk around in the middle of the night, does it? Sometimes. Ah, I see. And as I informed you a little bit earlier, it has been raining all evening. Not all evening. Again, probably about 5 mils. No. Probably about 10 mils last night. Came down very heavily in a short space of time, for which we are exceedingly grateful. I don't think the Mulwati is still flowing, but you never know. We're coming to you live from a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And if you would like to send through your questions, you may do that on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Brian and I have taken a risk this morning, everybody. In fact, Brian, myself, and the biome guys. Although, to be fair, I better take some responsibility for the biome guys. In that we do not have a roof on. Brian, are we going to get rained upon?
Touch and go.
Touch and go. Hello, zebra. Zebra crossings. Zebra crossings in the dark. Oh dear. Goodness gracious me. So my plan for the morning, once I have disentangled myself from whatever's going on here. Oh, there's my coffee mug that just went flying. Sorry, hold on everybody. Oh dear, this is quite absurd. I hope that solves it. No, it didn't. It just made it worse. Brian. There we go. Ha-ha! I have released my spotlight from the confines of the various radio cables. So my plan for this morning, we're going to go look for lions, but not yet. First of all, we are going to go to the hyena den, I have decided, on the basis that I heard one of them whooping outside of camp just before we started our drive. So I'm sure they're around. And I'm just excited to see the cubs, basically. Make sure that they have survived the great deluge. Brian, I think we owe Steph an apology. Do we? I suppose we do. It wasn't quite a deluge, but it was a deluge. It was a bit of a deluge. Reminds me of 2000, no, not quite, but it almost reminds me of 2014. When we had the floods, I got stuck on leave. I literally got stuck on holiday because I couldn't get my car out of the reserve that I was staying in. And Emma and I had to survive on bacon. That was all we had to eat. Luckily, we don't have that problem now. Brian and myself are going to wait for it to get a little bit lighter before we go off to the hyena den. In the meantime, Brent is safely tucked away in the warmth of the tent. Let's go and find out how comfortable he's feeling.
Well, Dave is saying, not too close, back. I'm close, Dave, and I'm in the light, and the light is in my head. No. What can you do, Dave? You can't stop me from standing in the light. Of course, the tent is designed for short people like James Hendry, so I'm excited to break everything, knock things with my headbutt Dave occasionally. Now, Jamie's been talking about that it's been raining, and I've managed to get up a up-to-date live wind map of what's going on here. And that little green circle, that is us. Can you see the green circle? So we're on the edge. So there's rain to the north of us, and it looks like the wind is pushing it further to the north. A little bit of more rain there, so it's possible it's going to rain during the drive. But the reason we're in the tent is that there was thunder and lightning, and I'm not obviously talking about my two biceps. I'm actually talking about real thunder and lightning out in the rain. Although Dave wants to meet thunder and lightning because he's mocking me. I was actually going to say he can meet the drizzle and the puddle. But no, I'm only joking. It's great to be in the tent. Hashtag safariLIVE. My name is Brent Smith, and we're going to be on a very exciting tent safari today. And because there's a possibility, we can listen to, we can eavesdrop on Taylor and Jamie and their chats. Hopefully they don't say anything inappropriate.
Oh, well, sorry, my radio was on scan.
What do they say? She's changed her route. She's going to the hyena den. Oh, she's already told us that.
I'm here at the gate now.
I don't know if they know they're on radio.
Looking hard.
Let's mock. Come on, Taylor. Lions are quite big. You should be able to see their tracks.
No, Brent. It's not Murder Taylor Day today. better.
Taylor, we're also watching you on the screen, and you are live through me at the moment. Thumbs up from Taylor. See, there we go. I can watch what they're all doing. I'm feeling evil today. But of course, we're going to have lots of fun in the tent, because Brent is in the tent, and Brent... Oh, now, Jamie has asked me what my plans are. My plan is to give both of you as much trouble as possible.
Same plan as every morning then.
There we go, same plan as every morning. I'm like Dr. Evil in the tent this morning. No, but we're going to chat a little bit about other places in Africa where it's a big secret. We might or might not be going later in the year. So we're going to discuss some of the species in Kenya, Rwanda, Botswana, Zambia. So if you have any questions about areas outside of South Africa, I would love to hear from you. Now, I'm very fortunate I've lived in a lot of those areas. Now, Louise was talking to me, but I was ignoring her. So what were you saying, Louise? Oh, we can go to Taylor so she can say good morning. Bye.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very windy and wet Safari Live, as I'm sure Jamie has already introduced you to. But my name is Taylor, and on camera with me is Craig. There is Craig, aka Batman, Craigles, Craigie Baby. You give him all the nicknames that he loves and deserves. The more creative, the better. Now, you have, of course, joined us on a live safari, and we're so happy to have you with us on this chilly morning. So hashtag Safari Live with all of your questions, and we will very happily answer them to the best of our abilities, and well, with as much creation and imagination as possible too. Well, that's how I like to answer my questions. But we, Craig and I, when I say we, are doing a border patrol? Should we call it a border patrol this morning? Hey Craig, it sounds better than a boundary patrol. It makes me feel like I'm living life on the edge, but we're really just checking Triple M. It's not that exciting. No customs out here. We are searching for any sign that the Nkuhumas have perhaps crossed over, except that we've had quite a fair amount of rain, so that'll be interesting. I haven't seen anything yet, but a lot of these roads are very much waterlogged, especially for your tele access. That road is completely eroded now, so they'll have to get on repairing that as soon as there is a break in the weather. If we don't get lucky with the lions, our next plan is just to keep going on with our border patrol search this morning. We're going to head all the way from Triple M onto Gowrie, Maine, which may take some time, but our destination will probably be Twin Dam, somewhere around there, and hope that the leopards, the royal family, Karula and her two darling cubs, have come back across from where they like to go south every now and then. It's been a couple of it's been a couple of days, so I'm sure that they should be back at some point. But I don't know, this weather, not convinced. It's a bit windy. Now, Michelle, speaking of this terrible weather, you're wondering if the cats will hunt in the rain. Yeah, definitely. It actually helps them a little bit, because remember, rain, the main thing that it does is that, especially if you experience it like we have over the last 2 mornings, that it is loud. It makes a lot of noise, full sound, which is really, really good for the cats. However, it also washes away scent. So all the cats that need to mark territories after rain generally will do so. They have to go about and pick up the slack and get moving, including the lions, the male lions, and go and remark their territories again. So there is an opportunity to see them out and about, especially now that it's not so much pouring with rain. Because when you get that torrential downpour, look at this. Look how this road is completely eroded. Look at all of it down here. It's made a massive crevice. It doesn't look like much. That's actually quite funny, because the way I've just described it, it sounds like it's the raging torrent, but it isn't. But it's quite bad, and it will take a bit of work, unfortunately, to try and get this road sorted. They may have to resurface it once most of the water has subsided. But we're going to keep searching with our border patrol today, and we're going to send you back across to Jamie. She should be at that hyena den. Let's go take a look.
I'm not at the hyena den yet, I'm afraid. It's still a little bit too dark, and it would be highly unproductive to make Brian try and... What did you have to do, Brian? Push up the ISO?
Yeah, make all sorts of changes.
make all sorts of changes, and that just seems like a lot of effort for first thing in the morning. So we're not at the hyena den yet. Obviously I can't spotlight the cubs, so basically I'm doing a short loop, a short and limited loop, on the basis that, as Taylor mentioned, there are many roads that we cannot drive this morning. Arethusa is basically a no-go area, because Arethusa is basically one big seep line, which means there's a lot of water near the surface of the soil. Ooh. Oh, good morning, Rexon. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to listen to this. Some interesting tracks, apparently. Rexon led into that sentence by going, I've got these tracks crossing Gallagher Shortcut. Also, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Still not as good as the time he said groovy. Brian, were you here when he said groovy? Oh, it was incredible. I told him I was busy searching some road and that I'd found tracks, and he went, oh, groovy. It's amazing. Ah, it was an Ingwe. Leopard tracks crossing over Gallagher Shortcut. As to how Rexon saw that, well, morning, Rex. Did you find Nkonzo on Gallagher Shortcut? Okay, copy. Sorry, I thought you said you found Nkonzo crossing over Gallagher Shortcut. Oh. My apologies. I'm still trying to listen to this conversation. I'm not entirely sure what's going on because my radio keeps breaking up. Oh, it's the year of the bronze-winged courser. Out of my way. Sorry. Ah, dear. Taylor and myself interchangeable on the game drive comms. Now Brent's got it. It's chaos this morning. Ah! Okay, copy, I'm on my way. Karula! Karula on quarantine. Taylor's singing down the game drive comms. It's absolute chaos this morning. Fortunately, Brent stepped in before I could ask Tax what was going on. And we've got Karula. How does that sound, Brian?
Sounds great.
It sounds wonderful. Simply marvelous. Ooh, that sounds interesting, because of course the tent is not far from quarantine. Let's go to Brent in the tent to see if he's got Karula.
Okay, guys, you behind me, you'll just see a light, and that's where Karula is, and with Taxon. So Karula is about 50 meters from the tent. See, Dave, we don't need to leave the tent to find animals. Oh, Taxon's off-roading. Is Karula coming towards us? Sneak. No, I'm joking. She's quite relaxed. I'm just trying to see if we can spot her. Oh, I'm still listening, playing Evil Man, listening to the game drive radio. Turn that down. Now, I'm going to ask Tax now. Tax, I'm in the tent. Is Karula heading towards me? Let's see what Taxon says.
Joking on them radio.
Taxon says she's stalking me. I'm joking. She's on the road, so the road's probably about 30 meters from us. Karula wouldn't stalk me. Maybe she would. No, unlikely. So the interesting thing about leopards is in other parts of the world, human beings form a very...
She just crossed to the northern side of northern side.
Northern side, so she is coming towards us. So the interesting thing is about leopards in certain parts of the world, human beings form a very important diet, and we can chat about that a little bit later. But in Africa, human beings... Wait, come, Dave, come. See, she's coming towards us. Isn't this exciting? See the spotlight? Oh, there we go, she's coming directly to the tent.
People standing out there. Jamie, can you let them to go inside?
Rex, I've got comms with you. We're standing at the entrance.
She's coming direct to you there.
Okay, we're going to move back. Dave, do you want me to cable bash for you?
No, it's all right.
It's okay. So we're going to stand here. She's going to come right to us. I think this will be the first leopard in the tent.
Rex, is she going a little more deep inside?
Okay, so watch the spotlight.
She likes red. Yeah, you know they do this.
Look, she's after an Inyala. We're going to get a kill from the tent. There's a baby Inyala right next to the tent. Are we going to get a leopard kill without even leaving camp? There she is. Rexy, there's a Mampimpan Inyala just next to us. Do you see it? There we go. We've got the first leopard in the tent. She's coming right towards us. She's completely ignoring us. There's a baby Inyala just to the, probably about 50 meters away from her. And it sounds like Rexon's stuck. It's very difficult driving at the moment. Morning, Queen. Hello, Kurulskis. I don't want to boast, but ladies, we're your big cats. So Jamie is on her way here. But look at this, we are in the tent. We haven't even left camp, and we have got Karula, the Queen of Djuma. Now, there's an Inyala about 50 meters in front of her. And the Inyala's run away. But not far away. I don't think it's gone too far. Isn't this exciting? And I don't know if you guys heard Rexon on the radio. He says, Karula likes Brent. She's heading to the tent. And it rhymes. Dave, she also likes you. It's okay. We've been waiting for this to happen. We've had a few chats in the tent about the day we get a big cat from the tent. And there we go. She's 15 meters from us. What's that in feet? 30 feet? Diane is wondering who are Rexon and Taxon. They are safari guides that work for Djuma. So they drive the guests that come stay in the lodge. And Rexon also works on our bushwalk team as one of our security detail. So she is looking directly towards where that little Inyala is. So that little Inyala, I think, moved into a thicket and it's just laying down. I don't see an adult around it. So very, very interesting. Look at her. Hello. Hello, Queenie. Michael's wondering, why is Karula so relaxed on foot in comparison to maybe Shadow? Well, Shadow's actually quite relaxed on foot. Shadow just operates in an area where we don't walk as much. It's a difficult question to answer, and it comes down to individual personalities. Certain leopards are more relaxed on foot than others. For example, if we take male leopards, quarantine is much more easily approachable on foot than Tingana. But we can find them all. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And you can see Karula is nonplussed about our presence. She's still looking towards where that little Inyala ran off. I'm sorry, Dave, I might just walk across your frame for a second. I just want to see if I can spot that Inyala. So I'm trying to see if I can see the Inyala. The Inyala was just in front of the tent. Oh, she's on the move. She's coming towards us again. Jamie, come around towards Candace's house and go along the power lines. So I'm just letting Jamie know where she's going.
Yes, I'll be trying to last box it in.
Look how cool this is, guys. A leopard from the tent. I don't even have to go on Game Drive to find big cats. Well, Taxi found it for us, or Rexy actually. Can you see her? She's probably even closer. She's probably about 10 meters, 10, 12 meters from us. Look, there she is. It's a pity we don't have a longer cable in the tent, otherwise we could follow her, Dave. Maybe we should get the bushwalk backpack. This is so exciting. I think this is the first big cat from the tent, Dave.
That's right.
Well, you know, I don't need to track cats. They come to me. It's the truth. I can't lie. Okay, well, we're just going to move out a bit so we can see if we can stay with her as long as our cable lets us. I think she's heading slightly more to the west. Sorry, Jamie, it looks like she's heading slightly more to the west. I'd say power lines from Gallagher Shortcut. She's changed direction slightly. So I'm just letting Jamie know. I thought she was going to pop out right next to the DRC, but it looks like she's going to go through the drainage line, so the best way is to go around. So we've lost sight of her. How exciting. Tent team, 1 leopard. Game Drive teams,
Close to the western side.
0. Now we just need the informers to come for a visit. So as I said, we're going to start dealing with animals that we don't see or we don't not see it. Oh, I've lost the mouse. There it is. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to make sure you guys can't see the name. How does that? Okay, let's just do that. So who can tell me what antelope that is? If you know what antelope that is, use the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Okay, well done. Well, good framing, Dave. Good framing. What animal is that? So if you know the answer, hashtag safariLIVE. What animal is that? That is an animal we'd like you to meet in our adventures to Kenya. And I'd love to see if you know what it is. Don't look. Don't look. So let's just have one last quick look outside. I know it is a bit dark. So Kula was right here. She gave me a little, how's it going? And then she carried on. Oh, you can hear the guinea fowl alarming. That's where Karula is. And who knows, we've always got a Nyala and bushbuck around the tent, so maybe she'll come back. Hopefully she won't stalk Dave. Yep. He is quite small. So Brian has left me in the tent. Now Dave has to hold the camera above his shoulders to be eye line with me. Sorry, Dave.
That's okay.
We can get you some shoes with some heels if you want.
Heels. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay, now Karula's heading off slightly more to the west, so why don't we jump on with Jamie and see how her hunt goes.
Judging by the guinea fowl and Rexon and Taxon, we are not far away at all. It's just a matter of trying to work out exactly where she is. I can see the guinea fowl. Whoa, oh, wheel spinning happening there. Here's the guinea fowl making a racket. And Rexon attempting not to get stuck. I don't see any leopard. Brian? No. This is most devastating. Nobody appears to be looking in one coherent direction either. So I assume she's going towards Gallagher. Perhaps we should go and try there, because this feels fairly fruitless as an exercise. Rex, Tax, do you still have visual of her? Alright, apparently she's just here. Hold on. Let's not get stuck. Let's not go down into the drainage line either. Where's this leopard? Sorry everybody, we just have to wait until we establish the sighting and sort ourselves out and everybody gets arranged. And then we will be good to go. Brian, do you see her? No. No, me neither. Morning everyone. Is she down in here? Okay, cool, thank you. Oh, there she goes, I got her. Wonderful. She's going to come in front of our vehicle. She's just about to come out into the open. Or she was. Up until 2 seconds ago, there she is. There she goes. In a strip of spots. Hello, girl. Where have you been? Did you enjoy the rain last night? With her black eye? Hello, girl. There we go. She's moving through the drainage line, which is of course what leopards like to do best. This is a very tricky area, so she might lead us on a manic following her through the bushes. Thank you, Rex. Looking gorgeous and alert. You missed the Inala, my girl. And slightly damp as well. Good morning to Kate G, who would like to know whether or not the animals mind the spotlight. That's gorgeous. Oh, there's nothing like that. A leopard sidelet. Did you see the water flying off her? Walking through dewy grass. I'm sure she wants to be on the road. The answer is no, provided that it is done with a certain degree of care. So we won't spotlight any diurnal animals. Okay, let's reposition. We won't spotlight any diurnal animals, antelope, zebra, anything like that, just because it tends to dazzle them and make them far more vulnerable to predators. So we're very, very careful about the animals that we do spotlight, and we only spotlight those that are nocturnal or capable of moving about light at night, because that's essentially, their eyes are structured differently. They have a far more reflective tapetum lucidum at the back of the eye, which allows it to bounce the spotlight's light off that layer, and so therefore doesn't dazzle them at all. And we, of course, don't really have one. That's why we don't get any kind of an eye shine at night. So the spotlight doesn't bother them. However, if the animal were hunting, if the animal has, for example, a leopard with prey on the ground, a carcass on the ground, we won't spotlight them. If they are in any way vulnerable, we immediately take the spotlight off, just to make sure that we don't have any kind of impact on the way in which their natural behavior might play out. Once, for example, I was sitting with, I think it was Shadow and Sindile, and I got a radio call to say, listen, the lions are coming, and we immediately left and took the spotlights away because it was too dark to see without them, and it was too risky to actually shine on the leopards, because then you run the risk of attracting the attention of something like, say, the lions or hyenas or whatever else it happens to be, or you can run the risk of dazzling the prey and making it easier for the predators to catch them, or you could illuminate the predator and make it easier for the prey to see them. Right, we're going to play some leapfrog at the moment and find out where Karula's vanished off to. So while we do that, let's go and find out the answers to Brent's tent quiz.
I can still hear. Oh, my speaker. Thank you, Dave. Wait, it's quite cool. Okay, I'll stop. So I can actually still hear the vehicles going off. So she's probably about 100 meters away now. Now, back to the quiz. A couple of you said eland. It's snot. It's snot an eland. That is an eland. Now, that's a big bull eland. And we look forward, I'll move my radio, to seeing those once we are in the Masai Mara. Now, there's a slight possibility that an eland could arrive here. So, Sarah, hi. Sarah says, hi, it's me. Hi, Sarah. But it's not an eland. It is a topee. And we're pushing the wrong things. There we go. Well done to Alexander, Stefan, and Nikisha. You are spot on. It is a topee, a member of the hartebeest family. And it looks very similar to a sesame, but it's not a sesame, it's a topee. And one of the more common antelopes we find up in the Masai Mara. And also, a very interesting thing, it is the fastest antelope in Africa. So incredibly quick running. And if we look at their body shape, so they've got elongated front legs with a lower back leg, and they're capable of incredible speed. Now, there's a wonderful African folklore about topee and cheetah. Now, I feel like I haven't hit my head once today yet, and Dave's been very clever. We've got a microphone, so I don't have to wear a hat in the tent. So there we go. Where is it? There it is. Yay! Now, I like being outside, so we're going to go outside. So there's a wonderful folklore. I also just want to see if I can see the leopard again. I can't. She's gone too far. So there's a wonderful African folklore about how a cheetah got its speed. And the creator, according to the Bushman, I'm listening to the radio. I'm eavesdropping today. And basically the creator organized a race. And the only two animals that took up the race were the cheetah and the topee. And the topee was quite arrogant, being the fastest antelope alive. And cheetah asked Wild Dog very nicely if it could borrow its feet. Now, I don't know quite how this works, but cheetah managed to borrow Wild Dog's feet because Wild Dog was good at running, but Wild Dog decided didn't want to take part in the race. And off they took. And topee was burning cheetah. Cheetah was so far behind, but then topee stood in an aardvark or ant bear hole and hurt its leg. And cheetah stopped to help topee. And because cheetah stopped to help topee, the creator decided that because cheetah was such a good sport, it would make it the creator would make the cheetah the fastest animal and let it keep the feet of Wild Dog. And that's why they have non-retractable claws. Of course, this is a good story, and a story it is, but it is folklore. And like most African folklores, there's a good message behind it. And it's not all about winning. It's not all about winning. I don't understand that. But it is about helping everyone else. Okay, so it seems like Jamie's managed to leapfrog to the front. So let's go to Queen Karula.
There we go. How beautiful is this? Karula sidelit up in a marula tree. I wonder what success she's had. Oh, there we go. The spotlight's back. I wonder what success she's had in the last few days, especially with those downpours. Perfect hunting weather for big cats. I wonder whether or not she managed to catch anything and where she's put her two cubs. Last we knew they were south on Little Gowrie, but I think Brent mentioned that he saw tracks around the Mulwati yesterday. I had to laugh at Tristan when he arrived back from his bushwalk, and he was sodden from sort of the waist down and said that he had half the Mulwati in his shoes, and I could see it. They were sand encrusted and they just gave the impression of being quite heavy. Let's go forward a bit, Brian. Let's get a nice view. No, Fly. It's not even light yet. How can you be plaguing me already? Clunk. Are you okay there, Brian? Now, Rachel, good morning to you. You want to know how old Karula is. She is 13 in April. Now, the truly extraordinary female that she is, she's raised four sets of cubs to adulthood and is in the process of, although that's very pretty, isn't it, Brian? In the process of raising the 5th set of cubs, which basically means, if you think about it, a leopard has its cubs, lovely yawn, roughly every 2 years, and she's nearly 13 years old, and she's nearly raised 5 sets of cubs to adulthood. How impressive is that? Once every 2 years, give or take, from when she was ready to breed, which would have been at around about 2 years old. It's one of the reasons why we often talk about her and her unparalleled success rate in terms of raising cubs. I don't know if Brent has ever encountered a leopard that has been as successful as she has. I certainly haven't. That is utterly stunning. Good morning. What are your plans for the rest of the morning, my girl? Are you quite happy in that marula branch? Everything's a bit soggy down here. Hey, getting muddy paws. I had to laugh at the guinea fowl, all running away. Oh, down we go again? No, just looking for a more comfortable spot. A slightly more invisible spot. This is very, very pretty. This was very, very pretty. What an enjoyable way to spend a morning. I was planning on going to the hyena den. Karula has completely scuppered my plans, as she did. When did we drive along here and she popped out of nowhere, Brian? Was it 4 days ago? Maybe 4 days ago, where she popped out on quarantine with her 2 cubs. Glancing across at the impala on quarantine, you can hear the testiculars chirping away fiercely. So definitely not the subtle approach that she was looking for between the testiculars and the guinea fowl. I cannot believe Brent saw Karula before we did from the tent this morning. There was a certain inevitability to that, wasn't there, Brian? No. Yeah. It was bound to happen. Luckily, the rain seems to have ceased for now, so at least we don't have to worry too much. Things have changed a little bit for Karula since the hyenas have come back into this area, losing more kills than she was. She's definitely been losing more kills than she used to. Just the increased presence of hyenas all around this particular spot. Doesn't seem to bother her too much, though. It's not as though she's shifted further south or further north. And don't forget to send through your questions on hashtag #safariLIVE on Twitter. Remember, you are watching this live from the Sabi Sand. It seems as though we had enough rain to keep the Mulwati flowing in a raging torrent. Let's go and see whether or not Taylor has been swept away.
It is indeed a raging torrent. Hold on, Craig, hold on. No, I'm just joking. It's not, sadly, it's not raging, but it's definitely flowing, which is quite nice to see, because this is the first time, like many of us here at Wild Earth, that we've seen the Mulwati flowing before. It is gentle, it's not particularly deep, and I don't think I'm as brave as Jamie to go and dip my little toes in the water. So we'll just watch here from a very comfortable, safe position. This is really amazing. This is fantastic. And we'll go and check out a couple of other spots as well. But I have to show you the new Olympic-sized swimming pool we've just installed. Are you ready to see the Olympic-sized swimming pool that we've put in? It's really fantastic. You know, I just love it the way and how quick the teams in South Africa are at working. I'm just going to pull off the road slightly. Back here. Here we go. Look at this. Boris in his new Olympic swimming pool. How crazy is that? It is huge. I didn't know that Twin Dams could get this full. I think it could probably be a little bit more full, as you can see, but the water's definitely higher than it's ever been before. And I can't imagine how deep it must be right in the middle. It might be really cool if we could get something like a hippopotamus in the water, just to give us an idea as to how deep it is. Or Jamie's going to have to come here and do a bit of swimming, maybe a bit of synchronized swimming. Or there'd be a nice little, join up between maybe Jamie and the crocodile and Boris. They could have a great day. And it looks like Boris is absolutely thrilled at the moment with all the water that he has. And I think he will, because he doesn't seem to be fond of the vehicles too much. Every time he's out basking in the sun, today he'll not be basking. Well, right now he won't, because it is very cloudy still. But he will be very excited because he's got now a lot more areas to move around in and swim. So I'm sure he feels a little bit more comfortable. He's the funniest crocodile ever. So relaxed with people on foot, but bring a car near him and he zoots on off back into the water again. But he's not alone. He isn't the only one at the Olympic-sized swimming pool, which we now have on Duma. There's also a blacksmith lapwing just to the right of your screen, standing and looking very, very pretty on this fine day. And of course, as I say that, it sort of starts preening its wings. So I suppose that's the equivalent of a hair flick, maybe? I don't know. But not doing too much this morning. I can just see Mr. and Mrs. Blacksmith lapwing. I can't even see our friends, the plovers or the water thickneys. But maybe they've taken a bit of refuge and are just, well, enjoying the morning off, I suppose. But look at that ripple. Look at all the ripples on the water. There's a bit of a breeze too. It's lovely. What an incredible find. I think I could just spend the rest of the day here. It's very hard to hear, but there's a faint trickling of the Mulwati as it flows. And then, well, that is just soothing, looking at those divine ripples on your screen. This is wonderful. Let's see. Actually, I want to poke my nose down here. I want to see if we can get a better look. Let's see if there's any more spots of water. Now, I did a very quick border patrol this morning. We're just changing the name of it. Instead of a boundary patrol, we're doing border patrols now. Didn't have to check anybody's passports, which was quite nice. Had a very, very quick look around. Said nothing lions coming. I did, and he said he'd go to let me know if he found. So, sorry about that, gremlins around here. Let me just poke my nose down here. I'm not going to go too far down this road because it is quite badly eroded and we do not need to wreck it anymore. We will just park here. So Andrew said if he finds the lions, he'll let me know exactly where they were, and then hopefully if we get lucky and they do make their way this way, we'll just keep in contact with each other. But have a look at this. This is really fantastic. This is lovely. You might be able to hear all the birds. So I'm just going to take a moment just to enjoy all these beautiful sounds, and I'm sure that you will all love it too. You can hear the good old turtle doves. There's a couple of emerald spotted wood doves going doo 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 at the back. I can hear a hornbill, most likely a yellow-billed hornbill calling as well. Actually, not too much of a variety this morning. It's actually a bit limited as to which birds are chatting about. Okay, should we go check another spot? I'd love to go and have a look at what Bullshoek Dam looks like. However, I think that we're going to have to go back and then go up Cheetah Cut Line to get to it. I don't want to drive some of these roads around here that will be completely waterlogged. So we're going to go back across now to Jamie and the Queen.
I I'm so glad to hear that Taylor has survived the raging torrent of the Mulwati drainage. I'm not, however, going to take her up on the offer of synchronized swimming with Boris. Brian, would you take her up on that offer?
Not today, no.
Not today, no. I know it's a little bit chilly, really, to go synchronized swimming. I'm not really feeling it. It would remind me too much of growing up and in primary school going to 6 o'clock in the morning swimming training. Yes, with that swimming cap and, cold. No synchronized swimming with Boris this morning. Karula seems to agree. She doesn't seem to be too keen on synchronized swimming either. Instead, she has found herself a really comfortable, nice dry spot on the marula branch. Far preferable to the damp grass beneath her. That's why she is perched up in the way that she is. Quite comfortable, and I think probably going to stick around. Now, we're going to stay with Karula as long as possible. However, if she does take us on a little bit of a journey off-road, there are certain places that we absolutely can't follow her, and we're basically surrounded by those places. There's a seep line just to the west of us, where the underground water is very close to the surface of the soil. And by traveling along there, we could actually do some, if not serious damage to the ecosystem, certainly create serious ruts in the road. So we're going to enjoy as much time as we can with her, and then probably let her move on her way. And I would hate to be the first person to get stuck. That would be embarrassing, wouldn't it, Brian? It would, and then we'd have to jack up the car, put branches underneath the wheels. All in all, not ideal. A very peaceful image. Can hear the go-away birds calling. We're probably not more than about 100 yards from Brent in the tent. Again, still think that sounds like an Alo reference. The gatto and the chateau and the pill and the till and the drug and the jug and Brent in the tent. Hello, girl. I was so lucky that Rexon bumped into her this morning, or she nearly bumped into Brent. Melanie, good morning to you and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Melanie, you want to know if any of her offspring have the same spot pattern between their eyes as Karula does. And of course, for those of you that are new to these live safaris, Queen Karula, or Queen of Djuma, since this is the sort of the heart of her territory, she really actually does have the word wow between her eyes on her forehead. And I didn't see it at first, and it was pointed out to me, and it's actually very, very clear. You want to know, Melanie, whether or not any of her offspring have the wow between their eyes? Not as far as I know. I'm just trying to think. Shungile has a W, certainly. She definitely, I see a quite clear W between her eyes. Otherwise, I mean, obviously I have never seen most of Karula's offspring, really. Shadow and Tundi do not have the wow between their eyes, although they certainly look like sisters to me, but they don't have the wow between their eyes. I've seen Quarantine, he doesn't. I've seen Kunuma briefly, he doesn't. And then Mishu and Duna, I've actually never seen Shambambalan. Nah. Shambambalan, nah. And I've never seen Shinvinzi, so I can't speak for them. Perhaps Brent, because he has seen Shambambalana feeding off that buffalo carcass. He's actually had some amazing sightings with him in Quarantine, so perhaps he knows whether or not he has a wow between his eyes. I don't think so. Who have I forgotten? Mishu and Nduna. Again, haven't seen them either. Sorry, everybody. I'm just waiting for Dax to finish talking. I'm having a quiet chuckle. He was asking Brent where he's going to be checking. Brent says the tent. Tax, I think I'm going to check Misikaya. I'm not sure where Taylor's going. There we go. We have the answer to that. Never mind. I'm sure all is well. There's only so many roads we can drive anyway. And good morning to Carl. You want to know whether or not Karula is still able to have cubs or if she's a little bit too old. She's not too old. Leopards don't go through menopause in the same way that human beings do. So they continue to produce eggs right up until the end of their life because, of course, essentially living out here in the wild, it's going to take its toll before any kind of loss of ovums does. So, yes, she is absolutely capable of producing offspring. She'll become less and less fertile as she grows a bit older, and of course it's going to become harder and harder for her to successfully look after herself and cubs. However, I still think she's got one more litter in her, at least. What would that be? Okay, it would make her 14 by the time she's ready to have cubs again, by the time Hosanna and Shungila are independent. But one more litter, I think it's possible. Female leopards generally don't live much beyond the age of about 16. Sometimes there are exceptions right up until about 18 years old, even a little bit older. But those are exceptions to the general rule. But Karula's done so well, you just never know with leopards. They tend to surprise us. I'm not entirely sure what Brent has to show you, but let us go and find out.
Well, there is Boris the Blade. Now, that is, of course, who the crocodile who lives in Twin Dams is named after, from a wonderful Guy Ritchie movie, Boris the Blade, or Boris the Bullet Dodger. I prefer the Blade, personally. Now, as I said, in the tent today, we're going to be focusing on animals that live outside of South Africa. But before we do, I know a lot of you are worried about the spotlight. And spotlighting Karula, don't be. It is completely fine now. The only time it is a big problem is when it's really dark. And remember, it's morning here. It's not in the evening. And I can tell you for a fact that if you put a spotlight in a leopard or a lion's eyes and then you take your hand and go directly behind it and wave it, you can watch their eyes move it. So their eyes work differently to ours. So they are able to deal with that. And as you can see, the spotlight this morning was absolutely having no effect because it was just to provide light for people taking photographs. And I promise she's fine. Now, we've spoken about Boris the Blade, and I said we're speaking about animals that we might see outside of South Africa. So I've got another quiz for you. Are you ready, Dave?
Yes.
Don't show them the name. Are you ready? Okay, wait. Now, go, Dave, go, quickly. It's moving. Aha! What animal is that? So if you know what animal that is, hashtag safariLIVE, and we have a possibility of seeing that in Kenya. Hashtag safariLIVE. What creature is that? Now, that is a creature I have seen before, and they're actually quite cool. They make some very interesting noises. Now, I just wanted to show you where Jamie is. So, literally, we can still hear the vehicles, but she's just beyond the Gwari thicket there, getting a bit closer to Zoe's road. And isn't that wonderful? I still say, Dave, aren't you happy to be the first cameraman to film a big cat from the tent?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, of course, I forgot to introduce Dave properly this morning. Here we go. Here we go. Dave, give me the camera, because now I'm not on a vehicle. This is dangerous Dave the Dish.
Hello.
Let's have the dimples, Dave. See, now the cameramen know how it feels like to be a presenter when they put...
All right, that's enough. Thank you.
Yes, Dave has lovely, long, flowing, curly locks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, he does. Okay, let's go back into the tent. Now, I haven't found anything for the microscope yet. I'm waiting for it to get a bit lighter, and then I'm going to go search. Actually, let's go have a look at Tom. Tom is not looking well. Tom is not looking well. Tom's got a bit wet. And, ooh, I think the first thing I'm going to put in the microscope, looking at these Waltherias, they have been severely eaten by the window acria larvae. You can see all the gaps in them. Now, it's been raining, so that means if I want to find a caterpillar, I need to look under the leaves. So while I search under every leaf, let's go back to the Queen of Duma with Jamie.
That sounds as though Brent, spurred on by his spontaneous Karula sighting in the tent, is having an absolute ball. So is Taylor. She called me on the radio to tell me that the raging torrent of the Mawati is flowing strongly to the point that it has white water now. My goodness gracious, for our little river, it is truly doing a spectacular job. It's exciting, isn't it, Brian? It is really exciting to have had that much rain. Compared to last year, anything counts as a lot of rain at this point. So we're all thrilled. The reserve that I used to work on has had equally as much, and they've got proper rivers there that are properly flowing. My friend was telling me a story yesterday about driving through the river and her headlights dipping under the water. So the water's rising back up, and that's a relief for the rest of the year. It means that we don't have to face the horror of last year's dry season again. All those poor skinny buffalo. And actually, I mean, it must make hunting for Karula so much easier. Obviously, it was easy for her when all of the animals were concentrated around one water source, one or two water sources. But at the moment, the grass is so high that she basically disappears when she walks through it. Fast asleep. I wonder what her plan is for the rest of the morning. I'm not sure that she's going to move much. And good morning to Tony, who'd like to know, as Karula gets older, will she lose more kills? Will she learn to adapt? She probably will lose more kills. She will learn to adapt. However, her reflexes will be slightly slower, like any older animal, any older mammal. Her hearing might be slightly dampened. Her eyesight might not be as good. Her teeth will be blunted. It happens to all animals out here, and human beings as well. So there are certain things that are going to become degraded, just as part of the natural aging process. And so she will struggle slightly more to try and hunt, to try and catch things, and then again to try and catch her prey, just because her strength might start deteriorating. So pulling a kill up into a tree will get harder and harder. Karula's a wise old thing, though. I think she will learn to adapt, and she'll probably go for smaller prey, things that aren't going to put up as much of a struggle as, say, an adult impala, duiker, baby inyala, those sorts of things, and she'll be able to hoist those. And all animals have to face that point in time where their reflexes just aren't what they used to be. One that sticks out particularly in my mind was Midget, a 14-year-old lioness. I think she was 14 or 15 at one point. And the one time we saw her, she had a broken leg, and the rest of the pride had made a kill. She ran on 3 legs at almost the same speed as a lion, a healthy young lion with 4 legs. And never ever underestimate an animal at that sort of injury or that sort of age. Well, we searched for her long afterwards. We never found her in the end. I don't know what happened to her. Much tougher than human beings. By far and away. Apparently some of you were seeing some blood on her neck. I didn't see anything. Did you, Brian? A little bit. Which side? On the other side? Must have been. She was walking with her left side. Oh, there's a little bit there as well. That's probably just a popped tick. Yeah, that's probably just a popped tick. Sitting on the back of her neck, she probably rubbed up against it. I don't think there's anything major there. I wanted to try and have a proper look at her injured eye, but true to leopard form and cat form, she's playing contrary this morning, and she hasn't actually given us a proper glimpse, or hasn't given me a proper glimpse to try and have a look. It wasn't too serious, though. Just a little bit of a black eye underneath her left eye. Hear a woodpecker in the distance. Good morning to Barbie, who would like to know how old are Karula's oldest cubs. Her oldest cubs are Shadow and Tundi, and they are 11 now, actually. November has passed. Am I right about that? No, now I've got confused. I feel like that's older than I realized. They must be 10. Having a moment. Lost track of time. Why can't I think? They are 11. I'm not going completely crazy. They were 11 in November. I think it just was such habit of calling them 10 years old that admittedly November was a while ago, but the change has caught me by surprise. They are 11. So Tundi and Shadow, both 11 years old, both quite a contrast to their mother in terms of their success rate in raising cubs. Shadow, of course, has not really managed to raise any cub to adulthood except for Sindile, and I'm not really sure if he counts, because he, of course, was taken into quarantine for 8 months. The reason I say he doesn't count was, at that point, the reason he caught that dog was because Shadow was leaving him for extended periods of time to go off mating regularly, and it's probably a biological function. She just comes into estrus quite early, and it just kept happening relatively regularly. Tundi's had slightly more success. Tamba, her current cub, and Kuchava, whom I've only seen twice, her female adult offspring, probably ready to have cubs of her own now, and then of course Bahuti, whom I've never seen, but Viam has. Have you ever seen Bahuti, Brian? No, I've never seen Bahuti either. So a slightly higher success rate than Shadow. But they just serve as an interesting contrast because they are essentially in the same area. So the conditions are the same, the circumstances are the same. Their upbringing was essentially the same. And it just, basically what it does is it throws Karula's parenting skills into a harsh relief as to just how good they really are. Apparently, Bahuti has gone north into the Manyaleti, and Scott and Brent had a chance to see him before he did so. I haven't seen Bahuti, but I have seen Kuchava. I'm pretty sure Brent hasn't seen Kuchava yet. So I've got that one. And I think Brent hasn't... Oh, no, shame. I was going to say, Brent didn't see both Shaluvas, which I did. Of course, one of them is no longer with us. However, I still haven't seen Nkanyeni. In the entire time that we have been traversing Cheetah Plains, I have never seen Nkanyeni. Seen Vitomi, but never Nkanyeni. Which is ridiculous. I'm starting to feel personally affronted. But it just goes to show just how many leopards we have a chance to see within our patch of Traverse area. Females, I've seen Salesh, Tiani, Tsakani. What on earth was her name? Oh goodness. There was another young leopard that I saw that I've completely forgotten her name. I have no idea what Lou just said. I said Sakani. Nchila, that was it. Thank you very much, Lou. Nchila. Shaluva 1, Shaluva 2. Well, the older Shaluva, the younger Shaluva. Karula. Shungile. I'm counting just females now. Shadow, Tundi, Kuchava. That's just 11 females. And I feel like I might have missed one. That's just the females that I've seen in the last year and a half. Males, Mvula, Tingana, Hosanna, Quarantine, Kunuma. Tommy. I feel like I'm missing some. Tamba. Definitely missing some. I'm going to do a calculation of the various leopards that I have seen in the last year and a half, and while I do that and try and work out whether or not I've beaten Brent, which I know I haven't, let's go and find out how Taylor's doing on her bumble around.
It's a bit cold this morning. I'm glad I brought my big old jacket out with me, because I think I would have chilly if not, and I just brought my little rain jacket. So I'm glad we're nice and cozy. Craig, are you warm? He's speaking sign language today. Yes, Craig is also warm, which is good. We have to keep, good care of Craig, because he's from Natal, which is the east coast of South Africa. And down there, the boys, unfortunately, if the temperature goes lower than about 25 degrees Celsius, they freeze to death. And then we have to wrap them in blankets and defrost them, and it's a whole big shenanigan. So we just keep them toasty all the times. But we actually won't be able to go anywhere, because look who's decided to set up shop in the middle of the road. Some impala. And there's a big male that has decided he's not quite ready to wake up just yet. There's a female on the right, on the other hand, who seems to be very much awake. Hello, girl. You're a big girl. And then, of course, that beautiful male just resting up in the road. And I don't blame him for sitting where he is, because I also wouldn't want to sit in the tall, wet grass. I think that is a much better option. Maybe not as soft, but at least you're going to stay nice and warm. Because I couldn't imagine having a wet coat on a day like today. It wouldn't be very pleasant at all, especially with this breeze that we've got at the moment. I can imagine it would be very much chilly. But thank you, guys. I think that was the first mammal we've had so far. We're actually going to go down here. This has worked out perfectly. Goodbye. Have a nice siesta. We're going to go and have a look at Buffelshoek Dam. I'd love to see how full it is. I haven't had an opportunity to go and see all the watering holes. So when we get here, the only problem is our movements are going to be quite restricted. We're not going to be able to drive on the dam wall and very many areas. So we're going to come in from the east. We're going to view the dam, and we'll probably come back out the same way that we went in, just to not cause too much erosion and damage on the roads, because they are quite waterlogged. I may even change my mind. We might get along here and I might say, oh, the road's a bit wet. Let's leave it, but we'll have a look. We should be alright. Even though there's quite a lot of water here, this road is pretty good. There's a lot of gravel on it, so we might be alright. A bit of sand. It's not black cotton soil, which is good. Sure. Oh, hang on. Have a listen. Okay, so I have a quiz for you now. Last night we did the banded rubber frog. I asked you to guess the call. So I'm going to keep quiet in just a moment so you can have another listen. But I want you to hashtag safariLIVE with your guesses as to what is making that. Doesn't sound like that, but you get the sound that I'm talking about. Who makes that? What is the species? We have to be a little bit specific. So hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter with your answers. But have another listen. Now, of course, they've stopped. It's ridiculous. Okay. Well, maybe you heard it in the beginning when we initially stopped. So if you did manage to get a quick little listen, you can let us know what was making that sound. Now the birds are all chatting away, and it wasn't a bird that I was talking about. So typical, isn't it? They get a little bit high when they eventually hear us. So long here. I'll have a video to show you. I walked down into the party, which was quite low. Sorry about that. Again, the gremlins were just fighting a little bit there, but we've swatted them away. And as I was saying, is that I have a video that I shall show you once we get to Buffelshoek Dam, or maybe I'll do it along the way. We'll see. It's quite lovely. I went down into the Mulwati. Just the dip, just that little drainage spot, often where the gremlins like to sit and wait. And it is a raging torrent. Even saw white water bubbling away, which was very exciting. But I shall show you that in a moment. Just we unfortunately have the greatest signal down there, so we couldn't show you. So that's why I took my own little video. But my camera skills, now please don't judge me, are not as great as Craig, and that's why Craig does what he does and I have to do what I do, because I don't think I'd be very good on the camera. I'd get so distracted. Anything would just be panning across the screen the whole time. It would be a complete disaster if I had to get hold of that camera. Okay, there's lots of frogs, but I haven't seen anything just yet. I did hear some bullfrogs earlier this morning around Twin Dams chirping about, and then of course as we got there they all stopped, so I suspect that they were hiding in the long grass, and I presume that most of them have already bred for the season and laid all their hundreds of eggs, which we've seen a couple of times now, lurking about. Alright, we've got to go round the tree that the yellow. This is like a feature, I said all the time. Right. So we're having a bit of signal breakup every now and then. We do apologize for things like this. We are in the middle of Africa and sometimes it's not the easiest, but please bear with us. We will get to Buffelshoek Dam in a moment, and then the signal should pick up quite nicely. We're not far, I don't think. No, I'm starting to see the dead trees now. So that means, oh, here we are, we're right here. We're just going to go through one more little dip. Buffelshoek. My goodness, it's so full. I already got a sneak peek. Michelle Guy, you've all said, was that thing that was calling a sand frog? You are all spot on. Well done, you're indeed correct. It was a tremolo sand frog, and if you were watching the sunset safari last night, it was actually, we managed to get one with his vocal sacs all enlarged, which was really quite lovely to see. Oh my goodness, and we've got hippopotamus. Let's go down this way. It's an angle. There's Lake Buffelshoek. It's massive. It is so full. No more little jacuzzi section in the dam. That little segregation is now gone. But you can see in the very far corner, there are two hippopotami. There they are. I don't know if it's the same two that we've been seeing every now and then. No, these ones are quite large, and they don't seem to be as skittish. Remember we had that mom and calf that was here, and the juvenile just wasn't having any of it and didn't really stay up for more than about 3 seconds before it went under. This, however, looks like a much larger hippopotamus than the ones we've been seeing. Look at it opening its nostrils, isn't that cool? Yes, yeah. This is definitely not the same pair that we've seen. They're way too relaxed, which is wonderful. So they've got a new home. They've got Lake Buffelshoek all to themselves. I'm trying to find, where's Mr. and Mrs. Blacksmith Lapwing and Mr. and Mrs. Egyptian Goose? They like to live around here too, but they don't seem to be around so much. And you're wondering if the hippos would stay in the water during such heavy rains. I wouldn't imagine that it would be a bad spot to go. I reckon if it's torrential downpour, it's actually a good spot because they can hold their breath for quite some time, for up to about 6 minutes or so. And maybe they'll go underneath a tree, so often you'll see overhanging trees on the sides of the dams, on the banks of the rivers. And look at that. Naughty, naughty, naughty. I'm going to go and quickly pick something up. Thank you, Louise, for spotting that for me. We shall make a musical instrument out of this. I shall tell you about this can in just a moment. Sorry, hippopotamus, if I gave you a fright. Now, as you can see, and we have picked up a can, but what happens is when you get a lot of rain like we've had, is often hyenas will come through camps and rip up rubbish bags, which they shouldn't be doing anyway, but that's one of their favorite things to do. Or also, what could have happened is the can could have easily been washed down. Maybe it was lurking in the bush and it's been brought out. So that's also another, not a bad thing about rain, is that if there is any things lying around, it could have fallen out of a vehicle. I mean, it could have been a complete mistake. Somebody may have dropped it accidentally or on purpose. I doubt anyone would do anything like that on purpose. And And, well, when you get rain, everything moves around and it brings it out of the bushes, which gives us an opportunity to do a little bit of a cleanup. So that is definitely one thing that we will be looking at today. But it's lovely out here. It is full. This is the fullest I've ever seen this dam before. And I'm just looking around to see if anybody else is around. So as I was saying, it depends. You know, we had this rain. I was talking about the hippos and whether they would come, whether they would go into the water or if they would be out on land during heavy rain. I think it really just depends on the time of the day as well. So we had this rain in the very early hours of the morning, so these hippo could have still been out grazing, or they could have already have been back in the water, just relaxing. And like I said, if it gets a bit too heavy, they will move just to the edge of a bank where there's a bit of shrubbery, whether a tree or a small shrub, just to give them a bit of shelter to help hide them from those heavy raindrops. Because last night and the night before, they were very, very heavy raindrops indeed. Hippo, are you just having the best time of your life in this massive dam? It is huge. You could fit a massive pod of hippos in here now. There's plenty of space for more to move in. But I think that these two are lucky enough to just have a little private jacuzzi, or massive jacuzzi now. Dominic, you're wondering about a hippo's eyesight and specifically if they have sharp eyesight. So if you have a look at a hippo, it's really amazing how their nostrils, their ears, and their eyes are all on the same plane. They stick up just above the waters. You see that? Now we just need its nostrils to pop up and then it'll be doing exactly what I said it does. And their eyesight is not particularly bad. I can't imagine it would be very good underwater because all this water will be very murky and brown, especially after all this rain. So I don't know how great their vision is underwater, but it's not bad at all. I would put it, I'm just taking an absolute guess now, I would say it's somewhere not quite as good as maybe an elephant's, but somewhere between an elephant and a rhino's eyesight. So not as poor as a rhino's, but maybe not as great as an elephant's. So somewhere around there. But they've got little ears, they hear lots of things, they pick up scents. I think overall hippos haven't got the worst sense. I think warthogs, unfortunately, are not the greatest. It's the only animal I've successfully snuck up to is a big warthog. And all I had was just the wind in my favor, and I got a couple of meters away from it before it realized that I was standing behind it in the middle of an open plain. I didn't even have anything to hide behind but a little bit of grass. Bye, hippos. They're going up and down, bobbing away. AC, hello to you, and thank you so much for all of your questions. Remember, if you'd like to ask questions, like everybody else is, you're more than welcome to, and we'd be happy to hear from you. Hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter with any questions or comments that you may have, even if you just want to share your beautiful screenshots. So you were wondering how far can a hippo roam at night? Quite a distance, actually. Now, at the moment, it's not necessary at all for hippos to go very far because there's lots of green vegetation around most of the dams with all the rain that we've had, and then, well, even just a mile or so away that have perfect grazing. But in the winter months, when the grass starts to disappear, and around the watering holes, the grass around there is the first to go, they need to start moving out in search of better pastures. And sometimes they can travel about 8 kilometers in distance away from a permanent water source, but they move pretty quickly. Don't let a hippo's sort of shape and tiny little legs deceive you. They're really, really able to move along. And if you've ever seen a hippo moving on an animal pathway, it's really funny. They waddle. They're very wobbly animals, which is quite cool. And I had to do the action as I said that word. So I was wobbling. That's why the camera may have moved. They'll have all that they have through the bush, taking shortcuts that will lead them to the most beautiful grasslands. Oh, have we got a hippo coming to us? Oh my goodness, what is happening? This hippo is coming towards us. Where is it going to pop up? And why is it coming towards us? Do you think it was maybe disagreeing with the things that I was saying about it? Maybe it said, Taylor, I've actually got the best eyesight and hearing, and I've heard every single word that you've said, and I'm going to come and just teach you a little lesson. Look at that. See, not able to swim, and it'll be quite deep in there. Probably, it's hard to say. I reckon it must be close to almost 2 meters deep, maybe maybe a little bit less than that, maybe about 1.7 meters or so. So just shy of 6 foot, maybe about 5'5" deep. So that hippo has to bounce down to the ground, and then pop up again, get a bit of air, and then sink down and walk along the bottom of the water. They're having a good time. Maybe they're just... Bev, Denny, you were actually wondering how deep the dam was, so there we go. I don't think more than about... It's definitely not more than 6 foot. Hippos particularly don't enjoy water that deep. They prefer, of course, the more shallow water. Now, I have a video to show you. Can I show you? Let me show you the video very quickly. I'm going to bring it around this way. I told you I was going to show you what the Mulwati looked like. And you'll see Craig. Craig features in this too. Are you ready? Craig saying something funny. We are in the Mulwati. Beautiful, hey? Wasn't that amazing? I just thought that I'd quickly show you that little clip that I snapped up while we were down in the Mulwati, and it was the first time I've seen, well, white water rushing and gushing about here in the northern Sabi Sands. So very exciting times for us out here. But we're going to head on back. We're not going to go over the dam wall. We can't go down Nyala Road, so we're going to go back and have a quick check on the northern boundary to see if anything has perhaps crossed over, maybe wild dogs, who knows. So I'm going to send you back across to Brent, who's in the tent.
Brent in the tent. Yes, I am. Now, we can have a look where Jamie and Taylor are by looking at our map here. So that's me. Oh, I'm not moving, Dave. I'm staying in the same place. So there is Taylor. And Jamie is on our southern boundary down here. And she is heading towards Cheetah Plans. So there's Chitwa, there's the airstrip, there's the dam. So Jamie is heading towards Cheetah Plains, so quite exciting. I wonder what mysteries, oh, my radio aerial's in the way again, are down there. Now, I just actually, the nice thing about being in the tent is we're connected to the world. And we have some absolutely amazing viewers. And I think we don't have favorites, but I must admit, Sarah has some of the most insane talent. So that's been done while on drive this morning.
Awesome.
Sarah, yes, Dave, I agree, awesome. There we go. Maybe Krula just wanted to hop by the tent for a coffee, but Brent's excitement was a bit too much. It's so early in the morning. That's really, really cool, Sarah. Well done. We do enjoy your sketches. They are spectacular. Now, on to the quiz. Oh, what am I doing? I'm pushing wrong buttons. On to the quiz. Now, quite a few of you thought it was an Aardwolf. Now, actually, strange enough, it looks very similar to an Aardwolf, and let me just get rid of Boris. Boris, go away, Boris. Let's find a picture of an Aardwolf. So, that is an adult... Oh, that's a bad picture. Let's try that one. That is an adult Aardwolf, and that is what we're looking at. So you can see a far more developed head. It's much bigger. So I'm going to click back. Oh, an Aardwolf. So you can see it doesn't have that same muscular neck, and there we go. So a lot of you thought it might be an Aardwolf, but it's not. It is a striped hyena, and well done to Nikki, someone, and Calm Chameleon, and many others who got that right. Indeed, it is a striped hyena. Now, I'm quite excited because where we're planning to be in Kenya later in the year, I've seen a striped hyena in that exact area. Now, they tend to stay a bit further away from the migration on the peripheries, and they are very, very cool animals. Now, they occur from south of the Serengeti, on the Masai Steppe. It's an area, it's quite an arid area, all the way north into India. So there are even hyenas in India, and the striped hyena is the hyena in India. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're going to see one while we get up there. So well done, guys. Very well done, because that was not an easy one. Now, Aardwolf is also quite an interesting one, because there has not been an Aardwolf seen in the Sabi Sands, from my research and speaking to guys like Lex Hess, since the early 1980s. Yet when we lived in the Manuleti, and we had to drive up and down to and from, and had to get up at obscene hours in the morning to be on game drive. I think we used to have to get up at 3:30, leave at 4 to be here by 5 in summer months. We saw an Aardwolf twice, and not even a couple of 100 meters north of the Sabi Sands. Why there are no Aardwolf here? I don't know. I've pondered it deeply, and I still don't know. There probably are. We just haven't seen them. Also, like with pangolin, aardvark, and a lot of the smaller nocturnal mammals, they come out between 11 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. So we're normally asleep. Now, we're still in the tent. Dave, we should probably open this one. I wasn't sure whether the rain was going to come, so we haven't opened. What am I looking for? Aha. Here we go. That's what I'm looking for. So, we have another animal. Are we going to quiz this one, Dave?
We should.
We should, just to keep everyone going. Now, this is our next quiz. Now, what antelope is that? You've given it away, Dave.
Oh, no.
Oh, Dave. There we go. Dave gave it away. It's a Thompson's gazelle.
Oopsie.
Where's a stick? Actually, I don't need a stick to hit the cameraman here. Dave's running away from me. You're lucky. You're lucky. I'll let you off this time, Dave. Okay, so there we go. Let me put, before I knock over any more stuff in the tent. Yes, so that's a Thompson's gazelle. And they actually migrate with the wildebeest and zebra during the Great Migration. So we will be seeing a lot of them. And there's another gazelle that we're not going to see as often. I will bring up a picture of it. It's called a Grant's gazelle, and they're actually a bigger type of gazelle. So, I can't do too many quizzes because I had another quiz, but I'm not going to do that just now. So while we carry on fiddling around in the tent, and just as we go off air, I'm going to pick up that bone again and beat the living daylights out of Dave. So while I do that, let's see how Taylor's border patrol is going.
Don't be mean to my dear friend David Brent. Shame. David, you can sit on my car anytime and I won't beat you with a bone, don't worry. We'll look after you here. Hey Craig, are you feeling well looked after this morning? He's Right, there was a little bit of a dodgy signal patch there, so instead of me carrying on talking and you only hearing every second word, I just decided to be quiet there, and then I wasn't sure how the signal was going, so I glared back at camera. Well, not glared, I just looked back into camera. So other than that, Craig says he's just feeling slightly neglected this morning, which is not too bad, I suppose. It's better than nothing. Are you cold, Craig? But I don't even feel sorry for you if you are cold, if that's why you're feeling neglected, because he's got shorts on. And we've told him he must have his slippers on to keep his toes nice and toasty. And then he needs to wear long pants. And if he needs a blankie, no one will judge him. Nobody judges here at Wild Earth. It's wonderful. You can do whatever you need to do. If you need to come on safari and you're dressing down, that's fine. I think the presenters, we should do a gown day one day with our slippers and maybe a face mask. I could have a mask on. I'd be quite happy to do a 3-hour show with a face mask. It would be quite nice. Spa day, maybe in winter, because I think those gowns will be nice to keep you nice and warm, obviously. Right, where are we going to go now? And see, now it's playing the game of which roads can we drive and which roads can't we drive. So I think we'll just stick to the cut line for the moment and head towards Sydney's Dam, just to have a quick peek around there if anything perhaps is crossed. Because like Brent was saying that there were lots of lions calling about late last night. I didn't hear them. So hopefully we can pick up on something, but for the moment there's just lots and lots of zebra tracks running around all of the roads, and impala tracks, which is no surprise there, I suppose. Right, let's see if we've got anybody around here. Very miserable. Haven't even seen many birds today, which is a little bit disappointing, because it's always funny to see the wet birds first thing in the morning and how grumpy they are. Oh, kudu. Hi, kudu. Now it's very hard to see them because they are indeed hiding away just in the distance. But there's a young male who is munching away on his breakfast, having a couple of leaves. This is very rude. Close your mouth, please, and chew nicely. Nope, just giving us the cold shoulder. Okay, fair enough. I don't think I asked very politely, but there is a big female. And I suppose that this is her dear son. I don't see any more, so it's just the two of them hiding about at the moment, munching away, trying to dry out their very wet coats, which you can see. That's a nice little look over the shoulder. Thank you, Kudu. But very, very quiet otherwise this morning. And we love the rain. But the only problem is that when you have so many days of rain, that everything does tend to hide away a little bit. But as soon as this rain eventually moves off and we go back to those hot days, the animals are going to have an absolute blast. Elephants are going to be swimming. Hopefully we're going to see swimming elephants in some of these dams, whether it's twin dams or whether it is Buffelshoek Dam. I don't mind which one. And I'd also like to go and see cheetah plains at some point, to go and have a look, and we'll see what's happening around there. But nothing just yet. Now, something that we've all been chatting about, and I've been particularly excited for, is the big herds of buffalo to return. And Alexander, you're wondering exactly that. As you come into winter, Alexander, you tend to see those massive herds congregating in areas, so that'll be nice.
Taylor disappeared, but you're stuck with me. Now, I told you I would show you a picture of a Grant's gazelle. Now, they're less common in the part of the Mara we're going to, but they are spectacular animals. Look at those massive horns on that silly little body. They are very, very cool animals. So hopefully we are going to be able to see Grant's gazelle. And again, they're less common than the Thompson's gazelle. Now, Karula has not moved. She is still sleeping in the tree just over there. I've been eavesdropping on the Game Drive radio again. Now, I've come out to look at the weather. I don't think it's going to rain this morning, but I think it will rain. But there's something I've been wanting to do. Now, we've searched the Walthoria plants, and I think all the acria butterflies have gone into cocoon. There's none of the caterpillars left. So, I need to stretch. And Dave, do you know what's about to happen? See, in South Africa, we play a game called rugby. And it's much better than American football because we don't use any padding. We use a gum guard, maybe some shoulder pads, but not big shoulder pads. And so, Tom Brady, I'm lining you up. Just one more stretch. And since the acria butterflies have gone, there's no need for a scarecrow. Now, of course, this Tom Brady is probably a bit more dangerous than the other Tom Brady because it's got spikes for legs and large canine teeth. But here we go. Oh! And save the there we go. That's what you call a spear tackle, which will get you a red card in rugby. That is not allowed. So that is the end of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's hat died in the storm. Okay, let's go back this way. So we have been seeing a few baboons around. Not that Tom Brady's a baboon. So if we have a look at the length of these canines, whew, that's sharp. See how sharp that is. Now, baboons use these canines for fighting and defense. And you can see, if we look at the rest of its teeth, if you've ever lost a tooth, it's quite close to home. Being a primate, especially the molars, a bit bigger than our molars. Our molars are probably about that size there. So the size of a baboon's premolar. So there we go, the canines and incisors. Now this is quite an old male. You can see how well worn down it is. And you can see the cracks. If I put my finger through there, look at that. This guy had a very sore tooth before he died. Shame. He does look quite sad. Oh, I didn't quite hear that, but I know Richard was asking about primates like gorillas and chimps. Is the Kruger area able to support primates like gorillas and chimps? No, it is not. There are no gorillas or chimps. The largest primate we have in the Kruger area is the Chacma baboon. And let me join, since Tom Brady is now retired, we can put the teeth back together. There we go, put the baboon skull back together. Oh no, someone put Simon's eyes back in. No, Simon. If he can't see, he can't talk. No, the Kruger area doesn't support baboons or chimps or any of those type of things. They are endemic to the forested areas of Africa. So the Congo Basin forests and extending into the Albertine Rift. Now, strangely enough, that is also one of the places we might be going later in the year, back to Rwanda, back to see gorillas, which would be very exciting. Oh, are we going to eavesdrop again? But we're going to chat a bit more about that. Now, mountain gorillas are quite interesting.
Are you calling me?
Because gorilla species have been, well, the earliest fossils of gorilla or those type of primates was found about 32 million years ago. So very, very old. And we share that common ancestor from there. Gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos developed, and so did human beings. And of course, we're the only bipedal ape. So we're the only upright ape that spends all its time on their 2 feet. We don't walk on our 4s. Well, some of us do. Girls in final control. But the rest of us walk on our 2 feet. Final control says I'm rude. I just think I'm funny. But so it is very interesting. Now, mountain gorillas probably separated from the lowland gorillas around 800,000 years ago. And they've got much thicker fur, and they're actually bigger because they have evolved to deal with higher climates. And the mountain gorillas of Rwanda or the Virunga mountain range actually go all the way up to the snow line. So even on the equator, there is snow. It gets that high. It's over 4,000 meters, the top of those mountain peaks. And who knows, maybe one day we'll take you on a walk up to the top of the Virunga Mountains and stare into an active volcanic caldera. But if you have any questions about that, remember #safariLIVE. I'm happy to talk about anywhere, including Djuma, obviously, and the Greater Kruger. But if you have any questions about other parts of Africa, I would be really happy to answer them today. And what are we going to do, Dave? Oh, yes, I forgot to beat you. So while I beat Dave, let's go to Jamie.
We are on Cheetah Plains, which is very, very exciting, and we are on our way to our second leopard sighting of the morning. And just bear with me, I apologize, I was in the middle of a conversation, so just hold on 1 second. Sorry, Tax, it's Jamie approaching this sighting. Were you looking for me? Taylor and myself often get confused on the radio. A-firm Tax. I'm on Ingwe Road. I'm just approaching that 3 in a row Pan Road junction. Copy that. Awesome. Thanks, Taxon. Yay! Second leopard, related to the one we saw before. Still not in Kanyeni though. Brian, this has got to change. We've got to see in Kanyeni. It'll happen. At some point it'll happen. So we've got a call that one of the most photogenic leopards that I've ever seen is on Cheetah Plains, hence why we have raced all the way here. We also had to cross the raging torrent of the Mulwanini. So it's not just the Mulwati that is flowing, the Mulwanini is flowing as well, which was to be expected. It's also very pretty at the moment. It's so green and lovely. Admittedly a little bit dark and dreary this morning, but everything smells clean, earthy, really is just lovely. By the way, Brian, you know your wild dog smell yesterday morning? So yesterday morning, for those of you who missed it on the sunrise safari, Brian said he smelled wild dogs. Apparently they popped through Djuma last night, and not last night, the night before. So you were spot on. They then disappeared, but you were spot on with your smell of the wild dogs. So there you go, everybody. Always trust Brian's nose. I hear that Taylor's been talking about facials and dressing gowns. Oof. I'm very sorry to all of you. I know you are sending through questions. I'm struggling this morning to hear exactly what you're saying. Lou, can you try that again? I've got your comms, Lou. I just can't. It's just your voice. You basically sound like this. That's what the voice in my ear sounds like. Oh, is that exactly what you said, Lou? Good morning to Aussie Mum. Aussie Mum, I think I got that right. I think I've got your question now. Sorry, I just want to show you what happens to roads when it rains. Goodbye, road. It was nice knowing you. Another big rain, that road's going to be gone completely. Right, let's keep moving. I don't want to miss out on quarantine. Aussie Mum, you want to know what language do we speak on the radio? Because you can barely understand us sometimes. The answer to that is actually a garbled one. It's a combination of what we call Fanagalaw, which is basically several different languages combined into one. English, Afrikaans, and a lot of the African languages, local African languages. And then we sometimes speak Xitsonga, the Shangaan language, and then throw into that some of the sort of the Zulu words for the animals' names. So it's not technically correct at all, the language that is spoken on the Game Drive comms. It's one of James's pet peeves, because James, of course, is fluent, completely fluent in Shangaan, completely fluent in Zulu, and you get some massacring of the language on the Game Drive comms sometimes. So the Game Drive radio, for those of you that are new to these safaris, is the way that we communicate with other guides in the area, share sightings, chat a little bit about what's going on, and basically ensure that we divide our time and our efforts in a way that is the most effective. So being able to discuss where you're going to go, also making sure you don't pressurize an animal by all arriving at once. So that's the way that we communicate, but it's a combination of, we were actually laughing about it last night. What was the one quote? Brent will know it. Something about Shkankang Puza Bamba Stim. The cheetah is drinking its kill fast. No, it does get a little bit bizarre at times. It's just a combination of different languages, often incorrectly used. And Mafazi and Madora, that's what we were talking about last night as well. Wantlati and Manona is actually how you would say a female animal, a male animal. My daughter is a male human being. A mafazi is a female human being. But you end up saying, Brent was making me laugh last night, the mafazi ingwe. Why Nuna? That's what I said. Anyway, thanks Brent for the correction. Much appreciated. We were laughing at it. We were saying that, you know, mafazi ingwe, a female human leopard, a woman leopard. Gentleman leopard, gentlewoman leopard. Okay, are we going to pretend that the rain isn't falling, Brian? No. We are going to need that move that thing off the front. That thing, of course, being the VR. A series of GoPros balanced on the front of our vehicle with a degree of precariousness. It is slowly but surely dripping on them. Rollo, how are you feeling about it?
Do you think it's really gonna rain?
Do I think it's really going to rain? You're asking me, the world's greatest weather predictor. Okay, we're going to do some covering up, and while we do, let's head across to Taylor for an update.
I'm so sad that it started raining on Cheetah Plains. I don't know if Cheetah Plains can handle any more rain. We've decided we've gone all the way around on the boundary on Bivels of Cut Line, but sadly we haven't had any luck around there, so we're back on Triple M again, and I'm going to drive on one of these roads. I don't know which one yet, I haven't decided, but it will be one of them, and then we're just going to start zigzagging in between these areas and see what else is happening around here. But it's a very slow morning, and the wind has picked up quite a bit now, which doesn't help our situation at all, because as you know, the animals do not enjoy the wind very much. So that's no good for us. At least there's not many insects around, and instead of getting insects in my eyes today, I'm getting my own hair in my eyes, which is lovely. Let's take, I don't know which road we're going to go on. Let's see, we might go, whichever the first one is, we'll probably turn off of Triple M. I can hear Jamie on the Game Drive radio. Right. We're bumbling. No snails just yet. I'm sure we'll see plenty of snails at some point. They'll all come out. Millipedes. I've seen one or two, but disappearing off into the long grass. Oh no. There's people coming. What are we going to have to do? That means I'm going to have to pull off of the road. I'm going to have to pull off of the road. Right, let's do that. It's Rexon! Good morning! Hello everybody! Hi Rex! We are live! We've got... I'll chat to you guys later. Bye! Just letting them know that we are indeed live. Otherwise you get stuck with very, very long conversations, and I love them, but I don't want to bore you. Right, down we go, back onto the road again. Sarah, you're wondering, ooh, little wheel spin there first thing in the morning. That's fantastic. That was quite lovely. I can't believe we wheel spin in the mud though. Whoops. Now, Sarah, you're wondering if the animals are less active in the winter, and you're wondering how cold does it get. I don't think it gets cold. Sorry, you can see it's very bumpy on Triple M, so I'm going to just try and go as slowly as we can. It doesn't get cold, in my opinion. I've yet to wear long pants in winter. I haven't had to do that just yet. I would say in the morning it's a couple of degrees Celsius. Maybe the coldest morning I've had out here was probably about 4 degrees Celsius. That was really freezing, but that's really as freezing as it does get. And then the days are lovely. The days are sort of, I suppose you could put it in high 70 degree Fahrenheit, sort of around there. So the days warm up quite nicely. The animals are just as active. If not, the cats are more active because of the cooler weather. So they get to move around a little bit more. Also, the nights are a bit longer. The sun obviously sets a little bit later, and rises a little bit later. later, so they've got more time to do all the things that they need to do. I think the predators enjoy winter more, just because this heat out here is unbearable. It's not great. It really isn't wonderful. Let's go here. Let's drive the Power Lines Road. I was having a very good laugh there when I passed Rexon, because there was one very excited guest on his vehicle that had spotted us from I don't even know how far. I think Rexon actually drove this road. So as Rexon was pulling out and driving towards us, I could already see somebody at the back waving, going, hello! Very excited to see us. Just very, very excited to see her. As I don't know who she is, but she was lovely, and I feel bad that I couldn't stay and chat. We'll catch up with her next time. But she was thrilled. I don't know if I've ever seen somebody so excited first thing in the morning. It was really special. She's made my day. What are we going to see next, Craig? I haven't seen cats for a very long time. It's definitely been quite some time. I think eventually we'll go and check the hyena den. I know Jamie didn't get to it. Maybe we'll pop past Karula a little bit later as well. We shall see how the morning goes. We won't make any promises just yet. Nope, I thought there was a termite mound that was open, but it's not open. It is packed tightly shut. I don't blame the termites on a day like today. I also wouldn't want to come out of my house. It's cold and rainy, and I hope that rain doesn't come here, because I don't know if this rain jacket will really keep me dry. They say it's a rain jacket, but it isn't really. I'm not sort of set on it. So we're going to keep on bumbling around, and Jamie's got something very exciting for you. She's managed to take the VR rig off and keep it safe and keep it from getting saturated. So let's go across to Jamie, who's on Cheetah Plains with quarantine.
I don't think Jamie knows she's live. There's certain spots on Cheetah Plains that the radios don't work. So it is quite far from here. So let's just move off that one. There we go. Yes, we had a question from Hawkeye asking me if I could show a picture of Karula clearly showing the W, and I found one. There we go. How do you make it bigger? There we go. That's how you make it bigger. So, I mean, you do need a little bit of imagination to see it. You can use... There we go. That's Karula. Oh, that's tracks of a male lion leaving us, unfortunately. That's very close to where Taylor is. But you can see some flies buzzing around, nasty little stable flies trying to bite Karula's ears. But there we go. So the W is there, and the O and the next W. So there's the wow on Karula. So for those who were wondering, there we go, the wow on Karula. Dave, can you see it?
Yes.
Dave can see it. I can see it. I won't lie, it took me about a month when I first started. And I must admit, I look at leopards very differently since I started working here. Before it was a leopard, and I would only ever look at the spot pattern when I was coming to identify. So generally, that's how we identify. You can see Karula's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. She's a 4-3 female. So before, we never really looked at the rest of the leopard. We used to focus on the spot pattern, and that's how we used to identify. But there we go. There's a nice close-up of Karula, looking very regal. Now, I'm just going to... Should we eavesdrop again, Dave?
Yes.
Let's see what's happening on the Game Drive radio. Crickets. Very quiet. And I haven't played with the microscope yet. That's because I'm quite scared of it, because I never managed to really get it. But let's have a look. Oh, the bees have been busy. Oh, I have to put a chair, don't I? I'll move my binoculars. See, I never know. There could be birds close by. I always keep my binoculars with me. Oh. Wow, look how big the opening to the bee nest has become. Let me move my water bottle. That is incredible. Look at that. And okay, it's really got a lot bigger. So now I'm going to try. Now, of course, I need to sit for this. Not nearly as skilled as James is when it comes to this. Oh, that's not bad. There we go. And sometimes, oh, Lou went to the microscope. Now I'm panicking. There we go. And sometimes when you put the light there, it causes a little carpenter bee or mapani bee to come out. Now they have some of the nicest honey. I have looked at Gerald's skull and thought about bringing a machete, but shame, no, we won't. Now, we've been talking about other animals and what they do. So I lived in Gabon for quite some time, and we got quite a few different species of what we call, oh wait, is that a bee? I saw a bee. There he comes. This is my first time. Oh no, I've panicked. What have I done? Oh goodness gracious me. Oh, there we go. Let me try get more from, oh. I am pawning this. But I did see a bee. Did you see a bee, Dave?
Only just.
Come on, come back. Okay, I've got the... Come on, little honey bee. Little mapani bee, little sweat bee. No, the weirdest thing is I keep trying to peer in with my head instead of using the microscope. That's when I made a hash of it. Oh, there we go. Do you think if I change the angle, do you think we're going to be able to see it? I don't want to make you seasick while I do it. Okay, there we go. Let me try it like this now. Because I said, me moving this thing around could make you very seasick. Now I'm looking at the screen. Oh, I don't see a bee anymore. Wait. Oh. Okay, I've got the tube. The bees have obviously gone back down, but it's nice to know that they're still here. And this is just such a perfect spot. Oh, there we go, there's focus. Focus, there. Such a perfect spot for them to have a hive, because there's no other creature that can get into the brain cavity of a giraffe. Okay, it doesn't look like they want to make another appearance. Now, as I was saying, so firstly, normally, if this giraffe had just died, there's a specific species of carrion beetle that will go in and eat the mush that is the brain of animals like buffalo, giraffe, and elephant. Because not even hyena and lion can get into this encased brain casing. But we were talking, I hope I didn't shake them around too much. But we were talking about sweat bees and other animals. And I said I live in Gabon. And a lot of the sweat bees in Gabon actually live in the ground and in termite mounds. And chimpanzees will take, here's a nice one, there we go, a long piece of grass, and they will actually walk with it. So there's very little grass in the rainforest, so they have to go to very specific spots to get grass. And they will fish the honey out, dip it in, and then lick the piece of grass, put it back in. Now, the other thing they also do is fish for termites. So we've seen soldier termites on bushwalk and on drive, and they will put a piece of grass that they've carried from the edge of the savannas, which are on the beach area, and they will fish and irritate a termite mound till it comes up with a whole bunch of termites, and then yum, termites for chimpanzees. And I've actually been lucky enough to see them doing that. And I was lucky enough, the community, which is what you call a group of chimpanzees, so a pride of lions, a leap of leopards, a coalition of cheetah, a community of chimpanzees. Now, the community in the area I was over 100 strong. They weren't always together, but they were often in 20s, 30s. Oh, it's starting to rain. But it sounds like Jamie now has comms with you, so let's go to Mr. Q.
We do indeed. We have comms and rain in the same breath. Now the rain is starting to fall down on Cheetah Plains in a great downpour. It's about 2 drops. But we do have a lovely surprise for you in a tree. Hello, Mr. Q. Long time no see. There's some impala that he's looking at as well. Oh, Brian, that is... Can you see him there? Forward a bit. We'll be okay. Back a bit. Hello, photogenic leopard. How's that? Perfect. Those eyes. There we go. For our new viewers, the son of Karula, who is now just over 4 years old and has already essentially established himself a territory here, I would say. He's been seen mating with Nkanyeni, who of course is a mystery leopard to me. He's been seen mating with an Nkanyeni. He did actually have a little bit of a brawl with his older brother, and now seems to be relatively well established in this area. I'm a bit nervous of changing direction, Brian, in case we don't have comms with final control again. Perhaps, where's he going to put his head? Let's see where he puts his head first, and then we'll do some shuffling around. And glancing around. Now this sort of weather is ideal for big cat sightings. Karula didn't want to do too much this morning, and when I was listening to the other vehicles who were still with her, apparently she was still fast asleep on the branch. Ouch. My eardrum did not appreciate that, sorry. Hold on. Let me turn this down. There we go. Much better. And just an update on the Nkumas. Apparently they are on Simbambili. I don't know if perhaps Brent would kindly pass that message on to Rexon from where he is in the tent. I can't at the moment, but it sounds as though the Nkumas are on Simbambili. So they have not yet crossed back into Djuma. I know Rexon was asking earlier. Okay. I'm scared to go reposition because I know we don't have comms around that side of the tree. It seems to be entirely directional based. If I'm facing north-south, if I'm aligned north-south, I don't hear anything. And if I'm vaguely east-west, I seem to be okay. Which unfortunately is not where Quarantine has placed himself. Alright, let's risk it. Let's go round the corner a little bit, and then if we don't hear anything from Lou, then we'll know we'll have to go back again. Otherwise, we can't answer all those questions that are flooding in on hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. So far, so good, Lou. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Ooh. Hello. There we go. Okay, Lou, I can hear you perfectly. So far, so good. I wonder how big Quarantine's going to be when he's fully grown. Oh, you horrible cat. That was such a contrary thing to do. Immediately turn around and face the opposite direction. Alright, boy. That's fine. We'll sit here and wait for you to turn back towards us. What is that sound? Is that a frog? Sorry. Must spear frog. Very odd sound. Sorry, we had a question about Quarantine's name, and I'm sorry, I can't quite fully hear who that question came from. But you wanted to know whether or not Quarantine is the one that means rain. Phoenix fire. That makes more sense than Felix fire, which was what I was thinking. Phoenix fire? No, it's not. Mvula is the one that means rain. Mvula, of course, suspected to be Quarantine's father, one of the possible fathers of Quarantine. He was the dominant male around Djuma. He's now sort of established himself quite far north of that, occasionally dipping into the southern areas of his home range. Mvula means rain. Quarantine is named after Quarantine Clearings, where he spent a great deal of time. Quarantine Clearings is the big open area right outside of our camp. And of course, like all young male leopards, he spent quite a bit of time before he became independent within his mother's territory, and spent a lot of time around that particular area and around the bush dinner site, much like his sister. And that's where the name Quarantine comes from. Quarantine Clearings is called Quarantine because that is where cattle were quarantined back before this area became a reserve. And Cheetah Plains was a reserve slightly earlier than Djuma, but that is where cattle were quarantined, hence the name. And of course, in this area, needed to be quarantined because there is naturally occurring tuberculosis, as well as heart-water disease and bovine foot and mouth. And it's transmittable from buffalo to cattle. So that was one of the reasons why the cattle were placed in quarantine in this area initially, to prevent the spread of those sorts of diseases, which of course are transmittable to human beings. I think we should sit patiently and wait for Quarantine to get up and moving in this chilly morning. In the meantime, Taylor's got something much larger, who probably is most definitely on the move.
We have got a very cheeky elephant bull who I've already had to have a stern talking to this morning. He is not in must, but the way that he was walking down the road towards us, it looked like from the get-go, he had a big sort of swagger to his step. He was swaying his head around and his trunk and flapping his ears. So I just gave him a few words before he could even think of causing nonsense with us this morning, because I'm not particularly in the mood for an elephant's antics. Let's keep up with him, because he's now going quite far behind the vehicle, so I'll quickly reposition so we can get a better view. You could turn around and go back that way. He's moving very quickly. He's on a move. I think he's picked up the scent of maybe some females, because every now and then we see him smelling the ground. And he's actually going straight to the area where Tristan had that big herd of elephants yesterday morning, where they were mud wallowing. He's heading in that direction. So I don't know what scent he has picked up, but he's definitely on the mission somewhere. Hopefully we'll pop out again. Let's see if we go around here. He's such a lot. There he is. I'm going to say he's such a large animal, but he disappears pretty easily. Okay. We shall stop. I'm going to go a little bit further forward. Hi, boy. You look like you've been boxing. And if you actually have a look at his... And now it's going to be difficult now that he moves, but on his left-hand side of his face, quite close to where the folds of skin are, now he goes behind a silver cluster leaf, but he's got a couple of old scars around there, so I think he may have been boxing with another elephant, perhaps pushing and shoving each other, maybe a little bit more serious than just a... There you go, he's smelling again. He was smelling us that time, though. But there he puts his trunk on the road, trying to figure out who he's following, though. He's quite a big bull. He's lovely. He doesn't look particularly old, though. He hasn't got the biggest set of tusks, but body size, I would put his age at somewhere between 30 and 35 years old. So he's big. He's definitely got the weight and the height on his side, but not a big tusker. And we've seen some really, really monster tuskers in the area. But now we're going to have to follow him from behind. Now, Laura, you're wondering at what age do elephants start going into must? It depends on the elephant itself. And also that depends on the big bulls that are in the area. So we'll keep up with him. For instance, in an area like this, there are so many big elephants around. I reckon that the bulls come into must slightly later. So I would say closer to the age of about 30. There's no big bulls around. I've seen it before where young bulls, almost just over 25 years old, start going into must. That's just because, well, there's nobody else to keep them in charge. But out here, it's a little bit later. We'll just watch. You can see, actually watch this. This elephant is a little bit agitated with us. Every now and then he keeps looking over his right shoulder back towards us. There you go. You see that? That is an agitation sign. It looks like he is definitely smelling the road, but he's done that look back over his shoulder towards us a couple of times now, so we'll give him a bit of space. That is a very subtle sign just to say, hey, maybe just don't drive right behind my bottom, which we're not. He's far away from us, as you can see, and I always give the Ellies space, but he was just asking for a little bit more. So not a problem, Mr. Elephant. We shall give you a little bit more room. There's no need to push him. It would be better if we can get around him again, and maybe there's a road that we can just jump in front so we don't have to follow behind him. I think it must be a little bit intimidating when elephants are walking and they've constantly got this humming noise coming from behind. See, he's gone. It seems like he's gone off the road now. Let's see where he's gone. Actually, it's a bit of a tricky one. Hopefully he doesn't disappear now or surprise us around the next corner. Where have you gone, elephant? He's going. He's almost gone. There he goes. You can just see his bum disappearing into the bushes. And as quick as that, as we had an elephant, we now don't have one anymore. He's walking through some very, very thick vegetation now. Oh, well. Well, that was a nice little quick glimpse of an elephant, I suppose. We haven't seen one of those today. It was nice to add it to the list. And we're going to keep bumbling around. We're probably going to go and check that hyena den and see if there's anything happening around there. Let's go back across to Brent, who is sitting oh so cozy in his nice tent.
Now, as I said, I've been chatting a lot about other parts of Africa. And one of the things on my bucket list to do is stare into a bubbling, active volcano. And I'm hoping I'm going to get to do that quite soon. So the most active volcano, and probably one of the most active volcanoes in the world, is just across the border from Rwanda. Oh, my radio keeps getting in the way there. And it is in the Democratic Republic of Congo. There it is. Let's see. Are we going to be able to see in... Oh, there's a very irritating cloud over the volcanic caldera. But yes, there is... is it that one? Let's go back. So that is, and actually one of the, there we go, that is what it looks like. So cool. Imagine being able to stare into that. The last time it erupted was in 2016. A small eruption. It didn't go out of the casing. Now, there are gorillas that live on the slopes of this volcano. Now, if we go back to Google, there we go. The whole of the Albertine Rift, or the Virungu Mountains, were active volcanoes at some point. If we go back down to where we went and to look at the gorillas, Mount Karimsimbi, sorry. If we go have a look, you can see there's an old volcanic caldera. It's extinct. And if we even have a look a little bit lower down over here, there's even a crater lake. And where we were with, oh, there's a research station. I didn't even know that was there. Where we were with the gorillas was not too far off. We were, let me just work out. There we go. There's another very extinct volcano over there. And there's another sort of caldera there. Well, let me just see where we were. We walked from about there. Actually walked up here. So yeah, we were just, so this is all bamboo. That's all bamboo. And we got the gorillas in the bracken, which is up here. So very high at about 2,500 meters above sea level. This is one of the highest mountains in the Virungu range. and it goes over 4,000 meters at the top of Mount Karambizi. Karasimbi, not Karambisi. Karambisi is a small village on the Tanzanian coast. I don't know why I keep saying that. I went fishing there many years ago. But very exciting. Now, as I said, there are no chimps in this area. They haven't developed that thick fur. Oh, now that's an interesting question. And I'm not sure of the answer. Jabu, who's from Jamaica, is in Ethiopia, and he would like to know what animals is he going to see in Shashamani in Ethiopia. Now, I know Ethiopia, but I don't know where Shashamani is. Let's fly to Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia is one of the countries on my bucket list. So, depending on where you are in Ethiopia, there's a lot of animals to see. Here we go, we're in Ethiopia. And there's Somalia, the Horn of Africa. So, there's Addis Ababa. I can't see Shashamani. Well, let's have a look. There's a bunch of towns in Gambela. Well, I'm going to have a look, but I can tell you what animals we can find in Ethiopia. You might be lucky if you head up into the mountainous areas, particularly the Bale Mountain National Park. And there is the most endangered carnivore in Africa that lives there. It's the Ethiopian wolf, or the simian fox. Now, that is a relative of grey wolves that split from them a few million years ago. And they live in really high altitudes in Ethiopia. And they feed on rodents. So the Bale Mountains and the high altitude areas of Ethiopia has a larger in terms of meat biomass than the Serengeti, Masai Mara. So there are more rodents living in those alpine heath grasslands, and in terms of, well, let me just try to think how to phrase this. There's more meat, and so there are so many rodents, including giant voles and giant rats, that the foxes or the wolves hunt up there. So if you take it, the whole Serengeti Masai Mara system, 1.2 million wildebeest, 800,000 zebras, all the Thompson's gazelles, lions, leopards, all the animals, elephants, buffalo that live there, and you put them on a big meat scale, there's more meat that lives in the alpine heath of Ethiopia, and it's all made up of rodents. How cool is that? And the Ethiopian wolf focuses on hunting those specific rodents of various different species. Other very cool species you might see in Ethiopia, the gelada, which is a type of baboon, ones that pull their lip back. And they also are a big problem actually for the farmers. They raid a lot of crops there. Mountain inyala is another good species, but if you now head down to the lowlands of Ethiopia, you can see very similar species to what you would see in Kenya or Tanzania. Lion, leopard, kudu, buffalo, hippo. So it all depends where you go in Ethiopia. And I'm going to have to go ask Final Control to send that name of that area of Ethiopia through to me, and Jabu, hopefully I will be able to tell you more when I know exactly where it is. And that is also another one of the spots on my bucket list. I've been to the Democratic Republic of Congo, but I haven't been to stare into an active volcano, which I would be very excited to do. Dave, would you like to stare into an active volcano?
I'd love to.
Yes, so I have climbed an active volcano, but there wasn't a lava pool at the bottom. It's called Older Lengai, which is in Tanzania, and it is the mountain of the gods, according to the Maasai people. So I have climbed that. Quiet, Franklin, I'm talking. Can you see them?
No.
So rude, those Franklins. Okay, so I just don't know where that is in Ethiopia. But let's go see if we can spot those Franklin. Binoculars out. I can hear a game drive vehicle. Is Karula on the move again? Is she coming back for a visit? That'd be nice. So we had a few raindrops earlier, but it's now stopped. But there is a lot of moisture to the east of us, and our rain does come from the east and the south. What is that vehicle doing? That is Taylor. We've spotted Taylor, so let's surprise her and jump onto her vehicle.
Oh, I'm so surprised. Oh, I'm not surprised. I knew you were coming. Louise whispered in my ear that you were going to pop on board my vehicle. Yes, but we're bumbling along at the moment. We're heading towards the hyena den to check to see if our darling cubs are there. However, I don't have I have to be honest with all of you. I don't like to pretend and tell stories here. Is that I'm not feeling too confident. I feel like it's a cold, chilly day. I don't know if Ribbon is going to be laying outside of her den, and sometimes it's a bit difficult to see her if she is inside there with the cubs, just because we can't get too close and we don't want to get too close. So sorry, I lied. Not I can't, we don't want to get too close and disturb them. So I think that they might be tucked or curled up inside, but we'll go and have a look anyway. Normally the best times to go to a hyena den is on really nice sort of mornings, not a lot of wind, sort of fair temperatures. Once Ribbon or any hyena has gone off and gone off scavenging or hunting, come back with a belly filled of goodies, and then she'll be able to produce enough milk for her darling little children, which will go and look there. We're just taking it easy. There's lots and lots of puddles on the road, and I don't want to go through them too quickly. First, for a number of different reasons, and the main one is because of all the frogs and terrapins and all sorts of little critters that are now in these puddles. So I want to give them an opportunity to move out as I go through them. There's the seagulls of the bush making all that racket. Bye, crowned lapwings, always shouting, always complaining about something. And then the other thing is that when you go through a puddle and you go through pretty quickly, now the idea is not to try and avoid the water, because if you start avoiding the waters, eventually you just create another road, and that's something we don't want to do. But when you race through them, like what we see how mud wallows are created, you splash all the water out, and then that divot in the road becomes deeper and deeper. We try to avoid that as well. So we really just try to do our part, just with the small thing. Oh my gosh, before we go to the hyena den, look. Hi, zebra. These are our friends from yesterday that were running around and we're a bit scared. There's a very young foal here with this group, so let's see if we can find them. Hi, zebbies. Oh, and all the entire population of the Sabi Sands, of all the impala, they're here too with the zebra. There they are. I'm just trying to duck so you can see them. They're now on the right-hand side. Where are you going, Craig? Craig's following me. I don't know what he's doing. There's lots of zebra. You can see them just popping out. This is not the young foal. Maybe it's not the same herd as yesterday, and then just a coincidence that they were in the same spot. And I've been seeing that quite a bit, where some of the animals will hang around for a little bit in the same area, and they went darting towards Rebecca's last night into that drainage, and I'm sure that's where they would have spent most of their night. Hey, hornbills, do you mind? Where are they? They're causing absolute havoc here. We're trying to talk about the zebra, and now they're making all this racket. Very rude of them. Very, very rude indeed. But the impala and zebra don't seem to mind too much. That's very cheeky of them, I think. But isn't this lovely? And it's actually nice here. It's not too windy. It's really nice and sheltered. And I now have a polyrhynchus ant in the car, which I'm going to try and get rid of. Come here. Oh, no, it's gone. It's run away from me now. But have a look at those impala that are hiding just to the left in the big bush willow. Look at them. They've literally tucked themselves underneath that tree. Oh, something spooked them. You can see they're all panicking. So there we go. That's a good spot. It just shows you the types of shelters that animals will utilize on these cold, horrible days. And they'll do something like that. Tuck themselves under a nice big bush willow where it's, well, relatively warm, I'm sure. And I don't think the grass would be as wet. What have they seen? Karula must be here. Hang on, let me just scan around. I know Karula was on quarantine somewhere, I think. No, why are they running? Where are they? They panicked. You go back a bit. That was quite funny. They may have already picked up on Karula earlier this morning. I'm just quickly having a quick look about here. And that could be the reason why they're a little bit on edge. They're very, very jumpy. Now, James, you're wondering about the zebras in particular, and you were saying that if an established stallion were to die, would that harem stay together or would they disperse? I think that they would stay together. And then I think it's just an opportunity for a new stallion to move on through. I mean, typically a zebra doesn't have a massive harem. It's normally just a few females. Out here, I haven't really seen masses of zebra. I think the biggest herd I've ever seen, and I think it was 2 different groups that just had joined up because the stallions were having a bit of a go at each other. They were rearing and chopping, and it was a big herd. There must have been about 30. So I reckon there were roughly maybe 10 in one, maybe 20 in the other, or half straight down the middle, 15 each. And I think that's as big as you go in this area. You don't see masses. Okay, let me go forward again. I just came reverse back to have a quick scan to see if I could see anything around here. But maybe it was just a very nervous impala that panicked and snorted. And then you've seen what it's like out here, is that the animals rely heavily on each other. So if one gives an alarm call, they tend to act on the side of caution and panic as well. And then they'll assess the situation and see if there really is a threat about. But like Louise was telling me, she said she thought that Karula was a little bit further west from here. Oh, okay, so we might be safe for this until now. Hang on, what are we going to look at? I don't know if we're going to look here. All this beautiful. Let's look at this. Craig, can we have a look at these zebra that are straight in the middle of the road? Just because of the way that they've huddled up. And often when zebras start doing this, it's the funniest thing. When they start, there we go, this is why they start getting a bit antsy. They start kicking each other and biting each other. And they're very social creatures, so it's not uncommon to see them sort of group up like this. But you'll get one that is just a bit cheeky, like you saw there, and decided, oh, I'm just going to double barrel you very quickly. And, and now they're starting a grooming circle. The 2 on the left are having a groom. But they always look so upset, zebra, and grumpy. They're very much like a pony, and then specifically a mare. As our ears are often back, that scrouched up face. They're just such cheeky animals, and you really don't want to get on the wrong side of a zebra. I think that they could torment you and well, put you through, well, not fun times. And I've been bitten by a zebra before. It's not nice. Never mind the horses that I've been bitten by. Lauren, you're wondering, you said that you saw a zebra, a male, a stallion, killing a foal. And you're wondering, why is that? Is it because it wasn't maybe his, or if there's another reason behind it? I've never seen that behavior before. I haven't been fortunate, and I suppose not fortunate is not a great word, because I don't know how wonderful it would be to watch a stallion taking on a young foal. It could definitely be maybe because it wasn't his. But I don't think zebras and other animals out here are as harsh as sort of the predators are. Like, for instance, lions, for example, going out and killing each other's cubs. I've never seen an impala ram either go and take on a young lamb. So I'm not sure about zebra. You know who I'm going to pass this on to? Let's pass it on to Brent, and we'll ask what he thinks, because Brent has worked in so many different areas, and he may have come across something along these lines and give a bit more insight to it. Like I said, I haven't experienced anything like that, so I'm a little bit uncertain, but I'm sure one day that day will come where I'll see something not so great like that. I'm not looking forward to that day. But look at the oxpeckers. The oxpeckers aren't happy. They're not really eating at the moment, just holding on for dear life, and then also trying to keep nice and warm. They're all fluffed up at the moment. But what a lovely little pocket of animals that we have here. Zebra, impala, karula somewhere in the distance. And of course, as you know, we're going to be making our way towards that hyena den now. But we are going to go across all the way to Cheetah Plains, back to Jamie with quarantine.
From a stripy creature to a spotted creature in a tree, we've managed to get a different view of quarantine, and it's very clear that he has got quite a full belly. So wherever he's been recently, he's obviously had a jolly good meal. And looking at that round belly is making me hungry, Brian. Happiness's breakfast is calling. I wonder what she's got planned for us on the menu. Fruit? Oh, dear. Don't say that, Brian. I had visions of bacon and eggs, and oh, we had that yesterday. Yeah. We are a bit spoiled. On a cold morning like this morning, one does feel like something slightly more soul-filling. Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get lucky and Happiness will forget that she gave us a cooked breakfast yesterday. I doubt it, though. Happiness is quite together. In the meantime, quarantine does not look like he's moving anywhere. I thought he was looking at impala. He was looking at impala earlier, but more in a sort of general, I'm looking in that direction kind of a thing, rather than I want to hunt you. Both Karula and Quarantine, sheltering from the damp grass up in trees. He looks so uncomfortable. He's all sort of squashed up in the V of that marula tree. And you can see the wind is blowing. The weather just generally is quite, not miserable. It's nice to have some rain and some cool clouds, but I can't imagine his last 2 evenings have been particularly comfortable with the downpour. Don't forget, for our viewers who have just jumped on board, and of course our regular viewers as well, please send through your questions using the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you, and tell us where you're from as well. It's also always nice to know where our various viewers are watching from, whether it is from the far reaches of New Zealand or Iceland, across to the States and the Americas. Let us know where you are watching from. Quarantine, if you provide us with any more excitement, we're going to be overwhelmed. I'm sorry, I have to laugh. Brian? Sorry, Lou, it's not your fault. But our comms are absolutely terrible. And Crazy Cat Lady's asked a question. Crazy Cat Lady's asked a question, but as to what that question was, something about something being safe. Okay, gotcha. Crazy Cat Lady. So, Crazy Cat Lady's question is, since male leopards or male offspring are supposed to disperse far enough away in order to prevent inbreeding with their mothers and their sisters, is Quarantine far enough away for that particular situation? The answer to that is actually potentially not. So he's been on Torchwood for the last few days, which is just on the boundary of the sort of eastern portion of Karula's territory. And obviously they are not guided by the same moral principles that most humans have. There's nothing to prevent them breeding with their family, and instinct will take over. So if Karula were in Estrus, if she were on Torchwood at the same time as Quarantine, yes, he could breed with her, and does happen. And they're quite resilient in terms of their genetics. Their generations can cope with it. Supposedly, it's always difficult to tell, of course, and we talk about the fact that female leopards mate with several different males, so it's very difficult to know the exact paternity. But in theory, Karula's father might also be the father of Tundi and Shadow. So he might have mated with his daughter in order to produce Tundi and Shadow. It does happen. So no, he hasn't dispersed quite far enough yet. Bear in mind, he's also young. He might not stay in this area. It's impossible for us to predict at this point. He might go wandering off to the east of us into Kruger, and he might disappear from us, disappear completely for a while before he's spotted again. So he's a little bit young to make that call, but he's old enough to mate. He's been mating with Inkanyeni, the dominant female of this area. So it's possible. It's not quite safe yet from inbreeding. There we go. Question about a Quarantine's breeding history. Soraya, all the way from New Jersey. Good morning to you. Well, actually, I suppose it's good evening to you. You want to know what cubs a Quarantine has fathered. None that we know of so far. We don't know if Inkanyeni's pregnant from her mating with him. She might be. Futomi is about the right age for that to occur. So, as far as we know, he hasn't fathered any cubs. In fact, as far as we know, the first time that he mated was with Inkanyeni. He's just at that age where he's old enough to. No, we don't know. But I think probably you'll find that he hasn't fathered any just yet. suspected to be the father of Nkanyeni's son, Vutomi. I hope that all makes sense to you. One sort of starts to get to the point where you need to draw a diagram in order to explain the various leopard dynamics. Trying to do it in a television show with limited time is also quite an interesting experience. Trying to summarize it all up as neatly and as quickly as possible without confusing people. There was a very interesting interaction between Quarantine and Vutomi as well, that Shanae caught on video, with Vutomi trying to play with him, play with Quarantine. Quarantine is most definitely not Vutomi's father. He's not old enough to have been. And Vutomi must be what, 16 months now? 15 months, 16 months, 16 months. So definitely not the son of Quarantine. And I think Vutomi got quite lucky in that Quarantine is just young enough to not have that, and Vutomi's old enough, that you didn't get that collision of instincts where a male leopard will kill a cub that is not his own in order to bring the female back into estrus. Such a happy leopard. Full-bellied, dry in the tree. Now, Stanley, speaking of our various leopard dynamics of this area, we want to know if this leopard's territory overlaps with Tingana's. A little bit, yes. Particularly when he spends more time in Torchwood and that sort of area. Tingana does move through those areas. Bear in mind that leopards' territories are not puzzle pieces. They don't have exact boundaries that slot together perfectly without any kind of intrusion. There might be days where Tingana's spending time a week on a kill in Arathusa, and he hasn't scent marked, and it's rained, and he hasn't called, and therefore his eastern boundary is not as clearly defined, where Quarantine might wander in, and vice versa. So it does happen that you don't have an exact clear-cut boundary. Now, there will be times when they stray into the area of another's territory. There's a potential for overlap around this sort of Torchwood area, Chitwa, Torchwood, those sorts of spots. But then, Quarantine's territory extends far to the east of where Tingana's is. And Tingana is definitely not a leopard that Quarantine wants to meet yet. He is definitely a lot larger, although leopards generally will try and avoid physical conflict. Fights do happen, and they are fierce and brief when they do, but a lot of the time it's spent posturing, and generally the one that is slightly smaller and slightly less dominant will back down to the other. I love the way his face is all squished up against that branch. It looks so uncomfortable. He doesn't seem to care, though. The joys of having slightly loose skin. I can hear a black-bellied bustard, Brian. Just a little bit out of our sight range, I think. That low whistle accompanied by a champagne cork pop at the end. And the Swainson spurfowl making a lot of noise as well. Otherwise, it is completely silent out here. Hello, my boy. I think I'm going to, unless he moves in the next 30 seconds, I think I'm going to leave Quarantine and we'll start wending our journey all the way back to the west. In the meantime, let's head across for an update from Brent in the tent.
Okay, so I know a lot of you are wondering about leopard territories, and at the moment, Quarantine is... Dave, was that your cellular device?
No, that's yours, Benty.
No, it is not. Mine is on aeroplane mode.
Are you sure?
Wait, do you want to really go down this road?
No,
does that say aeroplane? Wait, so guess what we get to do?
No,
give me the camera, Dave.
No.
Give me the camera. I'm going to draw a cell phone on Dave's forehead. Okay, I'm going to do that, but first I'm going to show you about leopard territories. I'm still going to draw on your forehead. So, okay. So Quarantine at this very moment is sitting in a marula tree about there. So we've got a map of cheetah plains here. So I unfortunately, there's a bit too much wind for me to do it outside. So, Dave, you might want to actually come behind me here.
Cool.
I will hold it up afterwards. So, quarantine's about there. Now, his territory, pretty much, this is the boundary along here. Like that. So, everything to the east. Oh, this pen is running out. I need another one. Yes, that's better. Everything to the east of sort of the Cheetah Plains Lodge is all Mr. Q. This whole area. Now, he extends, so here's the boundary of Cheetah Plains. He extends all the way through in Coral and probably about 8 kilometers into Torchwood, which is off this map. I know he also goes all the way down south into Mala Mala. Now, this used to be Shavamba Lion's territory. Now, we haven't seen Shavamba Lion since we saw him in quarantine have an argument around there. And he hasn't pushed further to the west yet because he would meet Tingana over here. And Tingana, we know, is a very big male, so he doesn't want to go there. But at this very moment, quarantine is very fat, very happy in a tree right over there. Maybe I should hold it up.
Yeah.
Oh, just do. Is that better, Dave?
Well,
So there we go. Now we can see it properly. Mr. Q. He goes north, south, and east. He doesn't go west because he meets Tingana. And he doesn't want to do that just yet. So he is a massive male for his age. And as Jamie was chatting about, it's very interesting the fact that he's already set up territory. So normally a male leopard would be looking at setting up territory about 5.5, 6 years old. So he's jumped the gun. And he does display very interesting behavior with other leopards, like that interaction with Vitomi. And Mvula used to as well be very tolerant of the cubs of the females in his area. Tingana isn't. I mean, we have seen Hosanna and Shongila with Tingana, and all he does is hiss at them. And they better be careful. Well, they're a bit bigger now. But Mr. Tingana has a reputation for eating his own cubs. Disgusting as it may sound, but that is not that uncommon in leopard behavior. It really does happen. Now, Taylor is going to go try find Karula again, so she's not too far from us. Maybe Karula's got down the tree, maybe she's moved off, maybe she's still in the same place. We won't know until she gets there. Guinea fowls? Wait, let me just go outside. I can hear some guinea fowls alarming. I just want to see where they're alarming. So sitting in the tent with all those walls, it makes it quite difficult to actually get a direction. Okay, so the guinea fowls are alarming down towards the main lodge in Yuri's house. So I'm going to let Taylor know on the radio, but let's go jump on the vehicle with her.
Brent, I'm going there now. I'm just on Wahlberg's Road. I shall go and very quickly have a scratch around. Here's Brent as we speak. Standing by, Brent. Okay, copy. I'm on Wahlberg's. I shall go and check there in 2 seconds. Okay, the Brent's just given the update now that those guinea fowl are alarming, which he's already told you, so now you're hearing it for a second time. But I've also heard it from Louise. We've heard it now many times. You'll love the chain of communication that goes on. It's really quite cool. Let's not go, we're not going to go too slowly. So I'm just going to pick up the pace. We'll just zip around here. Impala! Karula's coming. Just let them know. Just be kind. You know, zebra, you don't have to worry. Maybe your foals? No, she's a bit small to catch a zebra foal. But Impala, you guys are be on the lookout. So we coming around here to Pippa and Yuri's house. That's where Brent said he heard the guinea fowl. So I'm just going to park here, then we're going to switch off and we're going to listen. Come on, are you a seagull bird? No, you're a Senegal lapwing. Off you go. We're trying to find a leopard. Hang on, I thought I just saw something moving in the grass. Just want to quickly poke my nose down here because something caught my eye. We're going to sit very quietly just for a moment so we can listen. No, it's gone very, very quiet now. Okay, so perhaps it's closer to Brent. A guinea fowl call you can hear from a distance, but with the wind today, it might be a bit difficult, so perhaps it's a little bit closer. I thought I saw something slinking through the grass, but I think I was mistaken. Now, of course, I can't stop looking back there. And the flies are out in full force again. Let's just check here. The sand should be able to see relatively good tracks. Nothing yet. Okay, we'll go along here and we'll see if we can pick up on any footprints. Just lots of impala tracks and then tracks of the various bird species. Just checking all the trees as well as we drive on by. We know Karula loves to sit up in a tree. No, I haven't seen anything yet. No sign that she's moved that way. But she could have quite easily gone through. There's a corridor that runs between the Vuyatela Lodge and Pipanuri's house. And it's Tingana's, one of his favorite routes. He always walks up there, and then he comes past camp and he visits the DRC sign, which we're going to pass in a moment. He walks around here and he comes straight up. And Karula could have quite easily done the same thing. Leopards are not frightened by small spaces. They come into lodges. They do all sorts of crazy things. So once they get that takes a bit of getting used to, of course, but they're not afraid of those small crevices. Okay, we're gonna. Oh, what? I just gave myself a fright. I don't know what I'd heard. I don't know if there was maybe a stick that was dragging under my vehicle, but whatever it did, almost had a heart attack. Almost, not quite. Let's just check here in these big marulas. Stephen, you're wondering if the success rate of leopard cubs depends on the quality of the territory. 100%, definitely. Because if there's not a lot, firstly, you need to have water close by. No, Karula's gone. I don't know if these tracks are from Karula this morning. There's some on the road. Let's just go up a bit further. Sorry, Stephen, I got a bit distracted there. There are leopard tracks, but I think they're from earlier this morning. We'll just check around here where she was last seen. So I think so. I think that's definitely the case. You've got to have a good water point. There needs to be, if there's water, then you'll probably have a bit of vegetation growing around, which means that you will have prey species. You'll have impala, you'll have the various antelopes hanging around, which is what the leopards are, of course, feeding on. And if there isn't much of that around, you'll find that female will have to travel massive distances in order to find food, so she can feed herself and then produce. I can see Karula, she's in the tree. She's dangling, I can see her dangling tail. Hello, dangling tail leopard. There she is, fast asleep, curled up over there. You can spot her straight away. So if she's not feeding regularly, she's not going to have enough milk to produce for her cubs to feed on. And then, of course, the cubs will become frail, they won't be strong, and also being left unattended for long periods of time because that leopard maybe has to move around. If there's not a lot of prey species around, that can be a big problem too, and they're more vulnerable then. But it almost actually goes right back down to the soil types. That determines what type of vegetation you'll get, which then will determine what prey species you'll find around there. So, Stephen, that you are most 100% certain, and what a great question. That was a really, really nice one that's come through. I think that was my favorite question this morning. It was a good one. I haven't had anybody ask that in a very, very long time, so thank you for that. But here is the queen. She is fast asleep in a marula tree. She doesn't look like she's moved in ages. I always think it's amazing, especially the way that she's sat herself on that branch. She hasn't got any legs on either side, sort of holding her in position, We often see that, and then I can understand how easy it is for a leopard to stay put in a tree. But my goodness, I don't know about any of you, but I move around quite a bit in my sleep. I have vivid dreams, and if I were to sit up on the tree like that without holding on, without my legs wedged on either side of the tree, I'd roll off straight off of that branch very, very quickly. And I'm sure that there are a few of you that do the same thing. And animals dream too. That article that I was telling you about elephants sleeping, they reckon that elephants don't dream as much because they don't go into the REM state. But cats do. You see them often twitching, as if they are chasing something. Oh, we saw you, Karula. We saw you open your eyes there. She's actually pretended that she didn't. And you see them often twitching their paws or sometimes moving around. So they're definitely dreaming. And I wouldn't be a very good leopard. Hello, girl. I think she's thinking about what she's going to do next. And I'm sure she'll just have a little bit of a break here. I don't know where the cubs are. I actually bumped into Andries, and one of the other guides in the area. And he'd said to me that late last night he'd seen one of Karula's cubs in Little Gowrie running around. So I went down and had a look, but no luck, no tracks coming in. But also those roads are quite saturated. So if there were any tracks, they would be completely covered with water. There she goes. She's now sat herself up. Hello, beautiful. Looking about. And she'll do that. She'll just keep checking every now and then to see if any impala or nyala, which there are often a lot around, have moved into the area, because they won't see her up top, especially with the wind circulating at the moment. What have you seen, girl? She does not look very impressed this morning. That is not a happy Karula face. What has got your bonnet in a twist, madam? If only she knew, she went about 150 yards to the southeast of her, where she is now, she would find a huge herd of impala. And a lot of them started to sit down now, that same group that we saw with the zebra. And I don't think that they would even hear her coming with this wind. It's really, really good conditions, which makes it very, very exciting for this afternoon. And we know that Karula loves to hunt during the hours that the other leopards don't. She's very, very active during the day. But most cats on a day, cool day like today, a bit of wind, a bit of rain, they'll all be out and about. You know what I've always wanted to see? I watched a video, and I think it was in Botswana that the video was taken. It's a very famous clip of a leopard, I kid you not, rocketing out of the top of a tree straight down and grabbing an impala from while it was in the tree. It was unbelievable. It just ran straight down the trunk and then landed on top of this impala. It was one of the most amazing hunting techniques I've ever seen, and I would absolutely love to come across something like that. I wonder if she spotted something. She's moving around. She's looking to the right, a bit south of her. There we go. You see how she's intrigued, ears pointed forward. Those quick movements with her eyes. Well, she did for a moment. Now she looks like she's going to relax again. Maybe she'd seen something and then she'd pulled a tailor and it wasn't quite what she thought it was. We'll see. We'll just have to wait here and find out. Hey, girl. We're not going to go anywhere. Brent's not too far from here. I wonder, hopefully Karula will pay Brent another visit. I think that was fantastic that he got to experience that this morning. But we're going to sit with Karula and see if she decides to come out of her tree and perhaps go on a little walkabout. But let's, literally walk a couple of yards across to Brent and join him in the tent.
Well, what a wonderful morning it's been in the tent. And Javu, I did find out about where you're going in Ethiopia. It's quite an interesting spot. It's between one of the Lake District National Parks, and it's quite close to the Bale Mountains. So if you are there, go look for the Ethiopian wolves. I'll be so jealous because I have never seen them. But the other interesting thing while I was doing some research, so I've been stuck in the tent for too long. Let's stand outside. I've got so many cables today. The other thing that was quite interesting I found out about, it's quite an important spot in the history of Rastafarianism. Now, I wonder if you being from Jamaica and going to that particular spot in Ethiopia has anything to do with it. So there's a piece of land that was given to the Rastafarian religion by the head, or not the head, the sort of figurehead of the Rastafarian religion, Emperor Haile Selassie. And there were people who migrated from Jamaica to that particular town in Ethiopia and on that land, and reportedly they were visited twice by the emperor himself before Mengistu led a military coup and overthrew him. And the first time he said, hello, how are you doing? And what do you want? No, the second time he said, what do you want? And they said, we want to stay here forever. So he said, okay, you can. So it was donated to the Rastafarian religion, a farm outside of that town. Now, it is in a really good spot, very close to the Bell Mountains National Park, very close to Lake Districts National Park. So amazing birds, Ethiopian wolves, mountain nyalas, geladas, all sorts of fantastic animals. So I'm a little bit jealous if you are going to that area of Ethiopia, because I want to go there. Now, right now. Dave, do you want to go to Ethiopia? Yes. Let's go to Ethiopia. We won't be on the Sunset Safari, we're going to Ethiopia. No, of course I'm joking. We will be on the Sunset Safari. And I hope Karula has some luck. I mean, she is just over these trees over here. And I know you're probably tired of me yakking on. So why don't we spend the last few minutes of drive with Taylor and the Queen of Djuma.
Look at this perfect timing. She's waking up. She's making her way down the beautiful marula tree now. But she's also got the sneezes. She's been sneezing quite a bit there, so perhaps the allergies are not just hitting us presenters. It seems to get Jamie and I the worst, but also our dear friend Karula. But she's first having a scratch before she makes her descent. How graceful are you going to be today? Here you go. Just figuring out, taking it easy. Oh, thank you, girl. Please come down that way so we can see nicely. Now, that's not particularly high up. There we go. Now she's going to go. That's probably about, there we go, maybe just over 6 foot off the ground. It's not high. Now she's lost in the grass. Now, this is going to be the fun part, is following her. Let's go up. Let me go up a little bit closer towards her so that we can get a better view. Now, I'm not going to do any off-roading today. I'm just going to poke my nose up here, just because the ground is a little bit wet, but I can just pull off the road slightly, just so that we've got a clearer view of her. But we are going to watch her disappear. Like I said, unfortunately, there's not too many roads that are very, very close by. And we're not going to off-road, so it's going to be difficult to follow her. But it's also nice just to give her a bit of a break, a bit of peace and quiet, and let her do her thing. Hopefully, well, this is what I'm really got my fingers crossed for the day, is we're going to hear those impala and zebra alarming like crazy, and hopefully it's going to be because Karula has snuck up to them, and hopefully she shall snatch one of those young impalas up, or even better, an adult impala, and then go and fetch her darling cubs, Hosanna and Shongile, so that we can see them again this afternoon on the Sunset Safari. And it'll be really nice to have her in such close proximity. But I think we're going to leave her now. That was wonderful. Thank you, Karula, for coming out of that tree. We've had great leopard sightings today. That was really wonderful. But I'm sure she'll go around, and she often hunts on these open plains here at camp. It's perfect at the moment. Long grass, little shrubs to hide behind, wind. It's a dark, miserable day. It really is great hunting conditions. So, Karula, good luck on your adventures. Impala, fair game. Good luck to all of you. You never know. Maybe it's not Karula's lucky day, and the impala outwit her. Maybe the zebra spots her first. It'll be a tough one. You've got two animals with the greatest eyesight, well, two of the best eyesights in the bush, zebra and impala, all standing together, and I'm sure the troop of baboons are around as well. So if they spot her from a distance and from a great height, they are up in the trees, they will let everybody know first. So she might be challenging for her, but she's got a couple of things on her side too, which is nice. I love nature. It sort of balances each other out, or everything out, predators versus prey, prey versus predators. But we're down now to the last couple of seconds of the show, but I hope that you have enjoyed the safari with us. It really has been another wonderful experience. A bit drizzly, but not too bad, filled with many amazing things. You've had lots of laughs with Brent in the tent and David getting abused. I'm just teasing, not really abused. But we will catch you a little bit later. Big thank you from all of us at Wild Earth. Remember, tune in for the Sunset Safari.